Not lying. I'd probably
That's the
still do it if I
difference.
could.
The difference is,
So-
you don't get caught.
Bring us in.
Everyone, what's going on? This is the Daily Torch. What are we on? Episode. This is episode 25.
I think it's 25.
Yeah, we are on. This is our 25th episode. So again, we now have our campaign for subscriptions, trying to get to 100 by September. So if you haven't subscribed and you like what we do, go ahead, hit the button, push the likes, give us some comments, tell us what we're doing right, tell us what we're doing wrong. Just comment. Just let us know you're there. Today it's me, and we got Will smoking in the corner, and I got Kevin also smoking in the corner.
Trying to.
So we got two smoking guys in the corner, and me. So what's up, gentlemen? How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, man. You know what? I'm here. I'm here. I'm feeling it. I just had a really productive day off yesterday. For like the first time in a long time.
Yeah. You had two back to back.
I did, but I woke up early yesterday. 10, not like super early, but like 10. I went and got an oil change on my car.
Nice.
Went to the bank to tell them that I actually live in Nevada now and updated my address finally. So I didn't have like 6 addresses when I try to buy stuff online. And then what else? Oh, I went grocery shopping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, did that. I cleaned my room a little bit, did some laundry, and played some video games.
You get anything
that was-
hung up?
You were a busy boy.
That was my busy day. It was really productive. It was nice.
You get any more stuff hung up for your collectibles?
No, not yet. You know, I need to get another shelf for above my desk. Like I want like a desk specific knickknack shelf, like above my monitors.
Yeah.
And I found some shelves. I just have to order them and put them in and do all that. So I might do that next week. We'll
Okay.
see. But if I'm feeling productive next week, I'll do it. But this is the first time in a while I was like, I'm productive. Let's do stuff.
So
'Cause normally I get up and I'm like, I'm not. It's too hot. You know, like it's it was conveniently cool when I was up. It was like 11. It was like 76 degrees.
right.
You know, it wasn't 90 yet. But by the time I got home, I was like, oh, it's 95, and now I'm gonna hide because it's too hot to do anything.
Fair enough. We have that weird heat wave that came through.
Yeah, we did. It was.
I mean, it's kind of still
I mean-
lingering a little bit.
Did you hear about the one in Florida?
Yeah,
The ocean's at 101.
Florida. No,
What?
the one in Rome.
It's like a hot tub
No doubt.
in the water.
Is
In the
this
water.
in the bay or in the ocean?
This is in the ocean.
On
Like the Atlantic,
side.
like the Atlantic side.
It's on the Atlantic Ocean, parts
Was
of the ocean.
100 degrees.
Yeah, 101.
Wow.
At the highest. And there's different spots around the world that are actually breaking records.
Wow.
I thought it was pretty
no,
interesting.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I
no,
heard
that
about because Rome. Then they recorded like 110 degrees in Rome,
Yeah.
In Rome.
and like I was like, ugh. Like think about that. That city's not
Built
new.
for that.
Like it's old, so you know there's not a lot of air conditioning floating around Rome.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, and it's just stone and
Because it's usually cool
Hot.
from the water. They get that
yeah,
breeze.
they get right it's a Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So I mean I feel like it's muggy, but I feel like it's not usually 110.
It's probably like 70, 80 with humidity
yeah,
usually.
Yeah, so
Well,
that was crazy, but
you know
the
what?
ocean getting that.
I mean, if you think about it, those homes are, the homes or the places where they live that are stone doesn't let the heat in very much.
yeah,
I mean,
true.
stone and tile are probably the two coolest environments that you can have in a residence, and if they do it right, in other words, I've been practicing this. I open the windows, like right now, my windows are wide open,
Right.
and when I go home, I'll leave them wide open, and for some reason, I've been waking up around 7:30.
Perfect time to close them right before sun comes out.
And no, but what happens is that it stays somewhat cool into like the low 70s until about 10, 11 o'clock. And at that point, I shut the windows because the inside is nice and cool.
Oh, okay.
And I throw a fan on not on the floor, but the lowest part of the apartment, and I just kick it on, and it stays a good 8 degrees below what's outside.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's how you got to do it. If you don't have AC, that's the way to go about it.
Right.
I mean-
you got to do that.
I don't have AC. I have a swamp cooler,
Yeah.
and that thing stays on all day and all night because it drops the house down to about 50 at night, and I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, I mean that's I have one of those window vented
Oh, yeah.
ACs. So that it's got the tubing.
Yeah, the portable one.
Yeah, it goes to the hose, and then the hose is connected to the window.
Where did you get that?
I got it on Amazon.
You got it on Amazon?
Yes.
Because one of my neighbors
Has one?
it,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that would be a great ticket.
It was expensive.
Was it?
It's a little pricey, especially now. They seem to have gone up.
Well, it depends on the ones you get too, because they actually have higher BTU ones now.
True. They have the big one. Like this is
Oh,
a
yeah.
big one. It does like the whole house.
I don't know if I need a big one.
No, mine is good for.
Your room, right?
It's actually designed for 400 square feet.
So my
Okay.
garage.
So yeah, like a garage size.
Yeah.
And I've only got 180 square feet. So it definitely. I mean, my room is 64 degrees right now, and it's very nice, especially when it's 95 outside.
So-
That 30-degree difference is very nice.
So the vent that I see across the way and my neighbor's, his window is in the shade all the time.
That must be nice.
So, but mine
Mm-hmm.
gets a lot of sun from like 11 o'clock on.
Okay.
How is that going to mix with if I get
Oh no. So it's like a plastic piece, right?
right? No, I know I can
And
fit it in
the
the
vent
window.
nozzle is connected to the plastic. It's an outgoing vent.
Yeah, so it
Okay.
pulls heat out
So
of the
it
room.
goes out.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a condenser. It's basically like a refrigerator condenser that converts the inside air. It sucks air from the inside, right, and it makes that cold, and then it needs to it's exchanging that cold air it's giving you out
Right.
for heat that's
Right.
coming in from the back of that vent.
Okay.
And the heat needs to go out of the house. So like, which window are you going to put it in? Like your
I was
bedroom
going to
window?
put it on the window that overlooks the parking lot and the
Oh,
playground.
perfect. Yeah, perfect. That window right there. So you
Yeah.
have the vent plastic piece, and then you close the window on it, right?
Right.
And then you don't want too many bends in the hose. You want it to be kind of a straight shot
Okay.
to the window.
So-
and then once you turn it on, the heat will blow out of that window,
Okay.
but the cool air will stay inside the house.
Got it.
So that's how those work.
So, could I mean, if it's going to be a straight shot, so to speak, could I put the vent at the top of the window? Or
Like,
would it be better at the bottom?
you probably put it at the bottom just so you're not flexing and because
Okay.
it depends on how much hose you get.
How big
You
of a
can
hose?
buy different hose lengths on
An
Amazon.
extended hose?
Yeah, I saw one that was nice because it was actually, it was like insulated on the inside. So actually, the hose itself doesn't get hot on the outside; just keeps it all inside. I thought that was kind of cool. So if you
Yeah.
want, you can do that. But what's nice about it is you keep it in the window because, like, if you get one like mine, it has a fan feature. So you turn the fan on without the AC turned on, and then it sucks in the air from the vent.
Outside.
So if the outside's cooler, I can just turn the vent on,
Right.
and it just sucks in the cool air from outside, and you're not wasting the energy for the AC.
Were you able to determine how much it bumps your electric bill?
Well, technically there's two of them in
Okay.
my house because I have one and Logan has one. I would say it added probably an extra $30
Okay.
a year,
because
right?
they're a month
A month?
probably, yeah.
Okay.
But we only use them for 3 months.
Yeah.
So, but they're real. They're mine's a Black & Decker, and it had the Energy Star thing
Yep.
on it. So it works.
It's a saver.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'd be dying.
Oh, yeah.
Like
A lot of those old houses didn't have good AC.
I'm not meant for
or even AC.
Yeah, I'm not meant for heat. Like my dream, my dream living is Iceland, where the average temperature is 65 in the summer. That's my dream to live there. I don't give a shit about the cold. Like,
gonna have to go-
I'm a thick dude. Okay, cold I can do. That's fine.
And if you needed to, you could layer.
You're gonna have to go north for that.
That's why I'd go to Iceland.
Iceland?
Yeah. Average temperature, 65 degrees in the
Still
summer.
green.
Green, beautiful, hot springs 24/7. No snakes, no spiders, no mosquitoes.
Fog though.
What's wrong with fog?
Nothing.
I had no problem with fog.
Exactly.
It's the fermented shark fish thing that I'm not going to eat.
You can try it.
I would try it, but I'm not going to. I'll like order beef jerky off Amazon or something. I can live that way. But
about-
Icelandic salt.
They
got
probably
those
have different
cool
things.
mud racing thing they do out there.
Oh, yeah.
Volcanoes.
Volcanoes.
Why not?
That's true.
It's a whole geothermal. I bet living there is cheap because the whole island is geothermal. So you got geothermal heating, geothermal cooling.
So I understand that Iceland is not cheap to live in.
I imagine it's not because it's paradise and everyone wants to live there. Fuck LA, we're going to Iceland.
Weren't they doing a thing to get people out there though for a while?
There are some places that will pay you to move there,
Yeah, but
and I
that's
find that kind of interesting. Like there's a place in Virginia
yeah,
that'll pay you. I think it's like $30,000
yeah,
to
30 or
move
40
to the
grand.
city that they want you to live in. I was like, that's cool, but it's a little too close to like the Appalachia forest for my liking. And that forest kind of scares me. So
Why is
it
that?
does?
because you had like 10 steps in, you disappear.
Fair enough.
The one lady was like a mile off the trailhead and they couldn't find her. Like that walking touring grandmother.
Yeah.
Like she veered off the trail for some reason, and then she was like a mile from the trail, and she had all her camping, and they didn't find her for like 2 weeks. Nah, I'm good.
Did they find her alive?
No,
No.
she had passed away unfortunately,
Well, I mean,
and then she was so close to the trail.
she's older, so
Yeah, I was
Still,
gonna- I was
people
thinking she-
people your age disappear there, man. Like people who are 30 disappear in the middle of nowhere.
and they probably have no experience in the wilderness to
Yeah, well,
begin
there's that too, but still,
Even with
that
experience.
forest scares me.
I would
okay?
suspect that trail is probably pretty well
with. Maintained.
marked
It
or
doesn't.
used.
No, it doesn't matter.
Say again?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's. I mean, have you seen it?
No.
Remember, we were talking about it a while back. Mm-hmm. Legitimately, you walk 10 steps off the trail, and you completely lose all idea of where you are.
So that's all because how much thick it is there.
Yeah, it's just so
and you can't
thick.
see above you, so you're not going to get star guidance
like-
or anything.
If I was walking on that trail, I would want to be tied to the person in front of me and the person behind me. Okay? We are going 3 deep body system all day, every day. Okay? Because if you fall off the trail, we can pull you back. Okay? If the guy behind you gets eaten up by the moth thing that they have out there, the moth monster, then at least we know what happened to you. Because that's the big thing in Appalachia is this moth monster thing.
Oh yeah,
I forget what they call it. It's like a moth man bat thing.
they have that in what was it, like Ohio or something like that?
Is there one in?
We have one in America. It's the Mothman. He came from
Yeah, there's the Mothman, and then there's the
that bat one as
I
well.
feel like we have Sasquatch.
Squatch bat or something like that. Bat squatch.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it is the big. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Will? You heard the
I've heard
stories?
about it, yeah.
Because you did you bike out there on your motorcycle? Did you make it all the way
Not north.
to Virginia, like north area, Virginia, West Virginia?
No, I never. The farthest I went east was Sturgis.
Is that Dakota?
Yeah,
That's South Dakota or whatever.
Yeah, I believe it is South Dakota.
Okay, so you went. That was it, and then you were like, all right, we're turning around. We can come back to California.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't do like the go south, like go Florida or
so
the other typical biking.
I was working at the time, and so I could work somewhat remotely, but if I was gone for more than a week or two, my volume of sales would go down,
Okay,
and so I had become accustomed to a certain lifestyle.
fair.
And when your income drops, a good 25% because you were gone for 2 weeks,
Right.
you take a hit.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's understandable. But I mean, like, so how many times did you go to Sturgis?
just once.
Oh, okay, just the once.
But the cool part about going to Sturgis, the two places that I really enjoyed, one was Yellowstone. You know,
Okay.
Going into Yellowstone, seeing the buffalo, seeing the moose. I had no idea that buffalo can get to 35 miles an hour in about 10 to 12 feet.
Do you see how long those legs are?
That's a big animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of muscle in that animal.
So I don't know this, right? And I'm riding along, and I go, "Oh, there's a buffalo," and he's just moseying down. I go, "I want to take a picture," so I stop, and I pull out my camera, and I mean, I'm a good 40 yards away,
All right.
and I'm stopped on the side of the road, and my buddy comes up from behind and goes, "Get going, get moving, move," and I fortunately had grabbed a couple pictures, and I took off, and we went to the gate. So the buffalo was outside the fence line.
Oh,
Yeah, and
you weren't even actually in the park then.
no.
Oh, wow.
We were like about maybe a mile from the entrance or 2 miles from the entrance. So we get to the entrance and we come to a stop because there's a line to get in, and I go, "What? Why did you tell me to move so quickly when I wanted to take a picture of the buffalo?" He goes, "That's when I learned that in about 10 to 12 feet, he can be at 35 miles an hour." and
Coming at you.
and accelerating. Yeah. And I go, "Well, I could have outrun him with my motorcycle." He goes, "No,
No.
no."
No, probably not.
Yeah, if you got a camera in your hand and he starts charging you, to get that camera to a place where you're going to be able to keep it, right?
Yep.
And to get going on your motorcycle, depending upon the angle he's coming at from you, because he very easily could have been coming at me from a frontal, like a 40, not 45 degrees, but between 45 and 60.
Okay.
He's in that zone where
Like you're in his peripheral, basically.
yeah, and so that was a learning experience that I had.
That's I mean, I think I've seen buffalo in a couple of places, but like never out like in the wilderness. Like they've always been like somewhere like where people like herd them.
Yeah,
You know?
captive.
Yeah, I've
In a
never
fence line.
like seen them out in the wild,
Yeah, this guy.
which I hear is a totally different experience.
Oh, not only that, not just the buffalo, but the bull moose or the elk.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. It's not like I learned easily.
I don't know. As
or
kids
quickly.
in Utah, they had an area where you can go and pet elk, so
Oh,
you can
no.
go in. Yeah,
Oh wow.
they're fucking huge, man.
Yeah, they are.
I thought they were the size of deer. No,
No, they're 700 pounds.
Yeah, no, that's a big animal.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the
well, I
moose.
learned that as a kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it'd take two
I-
shots to get you.
You know, I saw caribou and reindeer live in a herd. That was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. That's a very majestic animal. You know, the
Yeah.
reindeer just looks like I don't know. I think it looks pissed off all the time because it has all those antlers. You don't realize that the reindeer antler is like this crazy, just huge, like antler mohawk, basically.
Oh yeah,
Like it just goes up for days. Because when you see them on TV, you know, they're like, "Oh, the reindeer's so cute." It's like that's not a reindeer. It doesn't have any horns. Like what domesticated? Where'd you find that reindeer? Like go out in the wild where it's like, it's got this mohawk of death, just going all the way up on its head, and you're like, that reindeer looks pissed off. Probably because those horns probably weigh a good 10 pounds each.
Oh,
see,
no
I
doubt.
like going into like old places where they have like deer on the wall. There was one place, and I don't remember where it's at, but like the deer had the antlers growing out, but they started to grow out and around into its eyes.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like that close to being in its eye.
wow.
I wonder.
They fall off though, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
They do
don't-
fall off, but they
Is it-
always grow back.
Yeah.
Is it?
So they
do
grow
they grow
back.
back in the same manner?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or because I've never thought about that really, but like, because I hear that like, is it all horned animals do it too? Right?
I
Just about.
I don't know, but
Just
Like
I'm
deer,
gonna guess.
like in the deer family at least. I know it's all deers.
Yeah.
Goats don't. Goats
okay,
keep
goats
their
keep
homes.
theirs.
Mountain goats, though, theirs spiral for days.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's outward.
Yes.
Yeah, not
most
inward.
of the time.
Yeah,
There's like
that's-
one or two with some crazy horns.
but I wonder if like the elk, like deer? Like if it just loses the like, I guess you'd have to keep a deer,
It's a seasonal
right?
thing.
Yeah, but you'd have to like keep it and then wait for the horns to fall off, and then like watch them again, and then wait till next year and then grab the same horns and compare them. I wonder if they're the same or if they differently grow.
Well, I probably grow a little bit different, but they're probably basically the same.
Right. I mean, I guess it would be a DNA thing, right? It would be
Yeah.
genetically
Yeah.
set to grow.
We've got bighorn sheep out here, right?
Yeah.
But do they
yeah.
lose? Do they lose their horns?
No, bighorn sheep don't. They just spiral.
Spiral.
Yeah.
No.
Most of them they grow out, and as they get older, they slowly spiral around.
But
Is that more of a northern Nevada thing? I don't think I've seen them.
so.
no, we've got them here.
Do we?
'Cause-
Yeah, outside.
Where?
In the BLM area.
Oh, okay.
You see them every once in a while. They're more towards the mountain area.
Yeah.
Like-
Not so much in Tahoe, but
Not
No,
not
not
our
in
mountain
Tahoe.
range.
Yeah.
Like the next mountain range over.
yeah.
Well,
Going more into Nevada.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
beyond Sparks. But if you think about BLM, if you think about 80 as it goes out,
Yeah.
there's a lot of BLM land to the left and the right.
Yeah.
That's kind of hilly and stuff. So they're out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see any when I drove to Utah, but
So
There's
It
not
was
that
hot.
many of them, but they're starting to migrate slowly back. Like down in over by Fort Irwin, they started to migrate back, and the mountain
Oh.
lions started following them again because that was the normal trail back then. They would migrate that way.
Right,
The mountain
mountain-
lion would follow.
well, mountain lions have a huge radius anyway.
Correct.
So they were just like, oh, look, food has wandered
Yeah,
into our radius.
While I was there on post, we had like 2 mountain lion maulings.
is
for,
that right?
for people?
Oh,
Really?
really?
And I had my dog with me on one sighting. So we managed to not have to deal with it, but another person got mauled by it about a week later.
Survived?
No.
No.
Not usually, because when they
yeah,
pounce on you,
when
it's
they get you
from
in-
a spot where you're not paying attention.
Knock you silly.
Yeah,
oh,
they
yeah,
hunt after
yeah.
prey, and they attack at the easiest point usually.
So
It's a big cat, so
If you're facing them, they usually don't attack. It's like a back thing, and then you guys are like, it's trying to circle around you. You have to circle around it. Sometimes it will attack head on, but not usually.
yeah, you never want to turn
No.
it back to a cat.
So, I mean, talking about cats, you guys know where I grew up, San Jose, Campbell, Los Gatos area.
Los gatos,
Yeah.
the cats.
The cats,
Gatos.
right?
It's Los gatos.
So, back in the old days, like, I don't know, 30s maybe, yeah, 30s or earlier, maybe even up to the
Prospecting
40s.
days,
Talking about your early
like the
years.
1870s to the 1930s, that kind of range.
I can't. No, this was a more. So when were the Spanish in rule? 18s.
Sure.
Okay, so Los Gatos, and then you go over the mountains,
Yes.
Santa Cruz Mountains, into Santa Cruz.
Okay.
So one of the correctional places was called Fort Branciforte, and that's where they would go and take all of the inmates. And they didn't have fences, they didn't have walls at this fort, and it was like out in the frickin' nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Of the Santa Cruz Mountains, and we didn't understand why they didn't have walls or fences. And they said, well, if you escaped Fort Branciforte by yourself, you were more than likely to get mauled and eaten by a mountain lion.
Oh,
Especially when you're fatigued and have nothing going on.
Right.
is that why they call it Los Gatos?
So yes, the name of the
that just 'cause
the
there's the
name of the
cats?
town got called Los Gatos, and because of the cats in the Santa Cruz Mountains. So
That's
we did-
funny. You just show up and you're like, "Yeah, what's going on here?" Like, "Oh, the cats, they're in the mountains."
Los gatos.
Los Gatos.
Run, go to Los Gatos, and hide. But
so this was like a prisoner fort,
exactly.
like Wild West days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Back
That's-
and it was Fort Branciforte, I believe, is a Spanish fort.
Like a mission or something.
Well, not a mission.
But it was a fort.
It was Fort Branciforte, and it was really a correctional area.
Is it still there? Like a historical site? Can you go out there and?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But it is still out there as far as the land is concerned.
Yeah, the land is there. It's just not.
But I
really
mean,
easy to get to.
if people hike out there, I don't believe there's any kind of trails or any kind of. I mean, there should have been because you had wagons going back and forth with.
Yeah, I mean there should be like a road.
Right. So I mean, Very.
It's probably grown over by now.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
true.
it is.
That's cool though. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a like prison out. Like I mean, there's prisons out there, San Quentin and stuff like that. But,
Right, but that's more modern day.
Yeah, that's cool. Like,
This
there's
was
Fort
Brent's Fort.
Well,
it
if you
was-
escape,
Yeah,
the cats will get you.
exactly.
You might as well just stay here in this fort here.
Time to go.
You're a lot safer in these walls, boy.
Yeah. Well, they don't have guns for the inmates, but they do have guns for the mountain lions.
But I mean, by the time you see a big cat, if there's anything I learned, especially from that movie, The Ghost in the Darkness. You ever see that one?
A while back, yeah.
Yeah,
With
that's,
Val Kilmer and
he's hunting in Africa.
yeah,
or
he's
something
the
like that.
African hunter, and they go out there and they try to hunt those lions that are like possessed by the devil or something.
Are they actually hunting lions, or are they hunting
No, they're
something
lions.
else?
They're some mean.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mean lions. Like, and at first, like, he shoots the one, and everyone's like, "Yeah, cool, you got." And then, like, they realize there's like two more of them,
Right.
and it's fantastic film. Let me tell you, it's so good. But usually, when you're dealing with cats, by the time you see it, it is too late to shoot it.
Because usually it's on you.
Because usually it's right there. Yeah, if there's anything I learned from that movie, it was definitely like, you don't want to be that close.
No.
Now,
And what's-
that's a scary thought too, because they're quiet.
Oh yeah.
That's why a lot of them kept that big knife on them, too.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's if you can get it out
if
in
you can
time.
get the knife out, sure.
You have a chance. Not big, but it's a chance.
It's actually, 'cause where my grandma lives,
yeah.
out in
Hazard County?
Hazard County. Yeah, she, her house is like on a hill, sort of. Like you have to go up a hill, and then like the house is there, and then the hill kind of comes up to the first level, basically, and then the hill goes way up past there.
yeah.
But she had to put spotlights up all around her house,
Wow.
because
Yeah.
it's rural enough out there
Right.
that she has mountain lions and she has tiny little dogs that look like appetizers. But I'll tell you
snake.
what, she's more than once I go out here and the spotlights kick on when she's out there, and she's like, you'll see the eyes just in where the light ends,
Yeah. Just outside
and it
the
just
light.
sits there, and it makes that noise. It sounds like a little kid. Because that's like what they do. Like they make this noise.
Try
draw-
luring
to
people
draw.
in.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what's that? Like, I'm gonna go check that out.
Right.
And I was like,
funny.
oh, you're no. I was like, you sure, Grandma? Like, And then we were out there one night, and sure as shit, I heard that noise, and I was like, oh, okay, no, I'm good.
It's funny. So I used to live in Overton, Nevada with my stepmom's parents for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
They had like this house cat mix cat, but it was like half wild, half house cat. So it was, but every time it meowed, it sounded like a little kid saying hello.
Oh yeah, see,
And
yeah,
it was freaky. It was
it's
like hello.
yeah, because cats meow to replicate human speech. So big cats don't know that. Like they're not domesticated like that.
Yeah.
So they don't know to meow. So when you get to the big cats, it's like, oh, they make some weird noises just from being out in the wild.
Oh, you're talking about domesticated cats versus the wild.
Yeah,
cats.
wild cats don't
okay.
meow.
Yeah, because I was talking about the half wild, half
Right.
Yeah, but
domesticated.
so his half and half was like, oh, I know how to speak, but you also get the wildcat part that's like, oh no, this is still a very dangerous animal.
That thing had some fangs on it too. It was about like that,
Was
inch
it
and a half.
like a lynx or something?
I think it was mixed with that. Yeah, somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
Probably.
So down in LA, and I think other places, definitely other places, because I know there's one on 80 as you go out to Utah, are these wildlife crossings.
Yes.
And what?
Like the overhead crossing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so what they found is that when the migrating animal that is food for the mountain lions, they didn't plan on the mountain lions
Yes.
following
Mountain
the-
lion goes, oh, wait a minute.
I can get
It's
there
a kill
too.
box. I can just sit at one end and wait. This is perfect.
This is nice.
Genius.
But they did so down in LA. They found that they had migrated in over the wildlife bridge, and they are now in a section that is somewhat boxed in.
like a neighborhood?
So along the sides of the neighborhood. So there's this large swath of area that is, not uninhabitable, but is wildlife area, right?
Oh, okay. So it's like forest land.
Right.
Basically.
So on one side you got the freeway. On the other side, you've got homes that have been built, and in between the freeway and the homes is this a massive expanse of area, that wildlife go to and do their wildlife things.
That's
right. And
that's a scary thought.
yeah, they didn't plan on that, and so now there's lions or cats. You know,
I will tell you, there are a surprising amount of wild cats in America that are just out.
not just in America, but California itself.
Oh well, California doesn't have some of the ones they have in other places,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's a documentary, and I want to say it's called like The Elephant in the Room or something like that. And it's a documentary about this guy who has these 2 lions that he bought off of a circus,
Oh, wow.
and he keeps them caged like next to his house. And the documentary is mostly about these 2 lions and the guy living with him, like how he can't keep up taking care of the lions, and because he's getting old, and like the people in the neighborhood don't like having the lions in there because they're worried they're going to get out and stuff
Sure.
like that. But a part of the documentary also follows this guy who gets paid to go around the country and hunt big game
Really?
just in the country. And he like has this like picture montage of the things that he's caught out in like, Colorado and like Appalachia, and it's like black panthers and jaguars and
Like things that get let
all
out.
these manners of things like people bought when they were little tiny, and they're like, oh, and then they got big and they didn't know what to do with them. And
So
it's
they
not
released
like
them?
you can take it to the animal shelter and be like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. Like, can you take it? Like people do with dogs and cats. It's like, oh no, this is a jaguar. I got it in the country illegally,
You're right.
and now I need to pull over in the middle of nowhere and let it out.
Right.
And
Release
it'll probably die because it's not used to living in here. And it's like, yeah, but that's a predator, and you have just put it into a place where it's like, oh,
Prey's everywhere.
once it's like, oh, look at this deer that's not going to go anywhere. I can catch that. Boom, done.
Yep.
But he was going through this crazy. I mean, it was like, wow, just like all these cats and exotic animals. Like one time he had to track down like 3 hyenas that had been let loose in Arizona.
Oh yeah,
And like
I remember that.
now they're in this wildlife sanctuary with like 2 lions, and it was crazy. I was just like, wow, you never think about, like, I get the like, the big snake thing, like, oh, we got this snake, I didn't think it was gonna get that big, let's just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then it ends up terrorizing someone's neighborhood. Like, I get that.
The gator one.
The
where
gator one. But I'll tell you what, the other part of that documentary is another guy who he's on the opposite end. So like the first dude's the hunter who deals with the animals that are already here. The second part is this guy who goes and tries to prevent the animals from getting into the country. And so like he goes undercover and he's like puts on these little glasses and he's like, okay. He looks in the mirror and he's like, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna try to like just find something that I can remove, one less dangerous animal, that's going to be out in the wild somewhere. So he goes in, and it looks like a flea market kind of deal in the middle of nowhere, but it looks so nonchalant. Like you could pull up on it and go, oh, look at this farmer's market. Let's go take a look what they got in there.
Really?
And so he walks in this place, and it's wild animal palooza everywhere. I mean, they've got monkeys and birds and, baby cats all in these cages. And people are just walking around like it's Walmart, like, oh, look at that. It's nice, cool. And so then he starts following this little girl around because she's holding this Tupperware box. And I'm like, oh, well, what's in the Tupperware box? Because, there's only a couple things that fit in Tupperware. So I'm thinking
snake.
it's either a snake or it's like a dangerous spider. And I'm like, all right, this guy, I get he's undercover, so he's shooting low because I'm like, I feel like you could bust all these people real quick, but whatever. So he follows this little girl around. And this little girl, like, she like shows it to her mom, and her mom's like, "Put that back. We're not getting that." And this girl puts this Tupperware thing back with the rest of the Tupperware, which I only assume is just more of what is in this Tupperware. And this dude, he goes, he picks it up. He doesn't show you what's in it. He doesn't show anything. Picks it up, and he buys it. They put it in a bag, and he walks with it, and he goes outside to his truck. And he like looks around, and he goes, "Okay, we're alone. I am going to show you what I just bought." And at this point, you've spent 15 minutes with this guy, so the anticipation is pretty high. You're like, "Okay, what'd you buy?" This dude takes the lid off this Tupperware box, and it's a puff adder. Just chilling.
That's chilling.
Just chilling. One of the most dangerous snakes in the world is just in this Tupperware box that like a 10-year-old girl was moseying around with. And he's like, all right, he seems to have been fed. That's good. He's like, let's put him in something a little more safer than this Tupperware box. And basically he's like, okay, come on. And he gets it in one of those like bags, those like canvas bags inside of a 5-gallon bucket. And he like puts the lid on it. He's like, it may not seem like much, but this thing could have killed the whole family and probably gotten out of the house and just wrecked a neighborhood. He's like, this was a good save today. And I was so impressed by the fact that exists somewhere. There's just this big wildland palooza that you can go to and walk around and be like, oh, I'll buy one of those. I'll buy one of those. I'll buy one of those. I'm like, am I so blind that I've never seen one of these before?
I was about to say, there's one close to Bryan, Texas, a flea market, and they have some of that
that's
stuff.
the thing, yeah. Is apparently I just don't live next to where these things happen. Because I think he was like outside Florida or Alabama or something like that. I guess that's where they all come in.
More of the coastal area, yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, who does that? Who does that?
Who lets a little girl walk around with a puff adder?
That, first of all, bad mothering. Because that...
At least you told her to put it back.
Yeah, but still, what if the little girl dropped it on accident and he got pissed off puff at her in the middle of Walmart?
I'm just wondering if she opened it to see what it was.
I don't think she did. I don't think she knew what it was. She was just like, it was cute. Because you know what? It did look kind of cute in the box. You know, puff adder looks really cute until it's coming after you.
She said it, but could you see through the Tupperware?
Yeah, it was clear Tupperware on the side.
Okay.
But just the way the guy had, because he only had his glasses, because he was undercover.
Yeah, so
you only saw the above for the most part till he opened it, and then it was like, holy crap! There's a puff adder right there.
What is
It's a puff adder's like it's a African snake.
Oh, it's a snake.
It's a snake. Yeah, it's an African snake. It sort of it's like scaly, not like round scales. It's like pointed scales.
Oh.
So it's kind of how you tell the difference, because you see it and you go, oh, it's got pointed scales. Yeah, it's a bad mamma jamma.
Oh, so does it get
Big?
well, yeah, it gets big.
Yes, it gets big.
But does it puff up before it attacks?
No, I think it's it just kind of looks puffy.
Because of the name.
Yeah,
right?
it just kind of looks puffy.
Okay.
Because I think it's the way the scales are, because they're not like all flat either. Like they kind of stick out. So it looks kind of like a puffed up snake with pointy bits.
Got it.
So it says it's about a meter long, so 39 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't get very big after that, but it's dangerous. And mean.
It's not as dangerous as the black mamba, right? If I remember right.
No, and let's see here. So the black mamba, is that the one that's like if it bites you, you're basically just dead
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you can't get anywhere?
That and the cobra, right?
There's also
No, cobras aren't that dangerous.
Really?
Unless they feel threatened, they don't actually,
that's why they
do
play
the
with
thing.
them so much.
Yeah, that's why like they're so
They're in India, right?
India is the big place for them, and that's why like the native, like if you go to like a village, like you'll see them float through the village, as long as they're not threatened. Like they stay away from people, but
Yeah, you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you.
yeah, but that's why you see those guys who are charmers and stuff
Uh-huh.
do all that work, because that work is, not threatening. Basically, they've befriended the
Right.
dangerous snake. It will, if it stings, if it bites you with venom, it's
Right.
going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Most of them have.
it's one of those ones
an
like
immune system
like a
built
black
against
mama
it.
just looks at you and just bites you.
Yeah.
And it's just like
See,
you're
where
dead.
you have a warning with a rattlesnake, the rattle goes off. You
Right.
know, hey, I need
Yeah.
to back away from this.
Yeah, remember
that doesn't have that.
all the bad snakes around here warn you.
That's right. They have a makara.
Yeah,
A
Macarena.
not macarena. What's that thing called? Makara.
Macarena.
No, the instrument.
Yeah.
Is the instrument called the Macarena?
Uh-huh.
No,
and,
that was
and
a
the
dance.
dance.
You're talking about the shaking.
Maracas.
Maracas.
Hey,
Maraca.
there it is.
Yeah,
It's
there it
maracas.
There we go.
The Macarena's the dance.
To the maracas. Get the maracas going. And
Yeah,
people are
hey,
gonna dance.
Macarena. Yeah, no, that's probably gonna get you bit by a snake.
Oh yeah,
'Cause there's a jump in there too, isn't there?
a little bit. It's like a jump and a turn.
Yeah, it's a turn. It's a jump turn. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You remember the Macarena, Will? Was that a thing when you were?
No.
that came out in
That was like a 90s thing,
90s
isn't
thing.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
early 90s,
Yeah.
late 80s.
What'd you have, Will? You had the electric slide. That was popular.
The Monster Mash.
Yeah,
The
the electric
Monster Mash.
slide.
What is it?
But the electric slide was also in the 90s.
Was it? I thought the electric slide. What was the big popular
It was
dance?
more.
Like, was there not a cool popular dance
Oh.
before that?
It was more hair bands, so it was a lot of head bobbing.
Well, I know that, but like in the disco era, disco had
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
disco had
disco was-
dances.
Disco was a little bit before me
Yeah.
in my years of partying and,
All right, that's fair.
and being.
I just figured maybe there was some
Reckless.
carryover. Those dances carried
Well,
over.
Remember, in my early years, it was not really about
Clubs.
going out dancing.
You weren't dancing in clubs.
No,
That's fair.
I mean, late 80s, yes, but early 80s when I was creating all
but-
kinds of havoc.
yeah, but by the late '80s, you had such good music, though.
Yeah, you had better music.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Oh,
And it
you're
wasn't
one of
disco
those.
anymore.
You're one of those.
Well, it wasn't disco.
You
anymore.
celebrated the day disco died, didn't you? Was it 1979 in the White Sox Stadium? Is the day that disco died?
I think so.
That's where they had that big disco burning event.
Wait, you didn't like the Atomic Dog?
What is
Atomic
that?
Dog. That's
It's
a
a-
Parliament song, I think, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Parliament.
Old funk song.
Funkadelic. You don't know P Funk?
Nope.
You're not down with George Carlton or George Clinton?
You can't say that I am.
George Clinton. Knee Deep,
Uh,
Atomic Dog.
No. I was a little bit before that.
I was gonna say Maggot Brain, but that's a Bootsy Collins one.
So
That's-
I don't know what you're talking about, but the thing that came to my mind was Marvin Gaye.
All right, you know what? Marvin Gaye
But
is
Marvin
in the
Gaye was-
70s
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So-
forget that I'm older than all of you guys with music. I'm
right.
That's my
You're
bad.
more
That
versed.
is not entirely true.
Well, I don't listen to Elvis like you do. So,
Well, I also listen to the Rat Pack, so I mean, we both listen to that.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra songs never die. So
No.
yeah.
Exactly.
But
But
I forget that I'm more well versed in music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
than I am
Yeah.
for sure.
Song wise, I can never tell you the name of a song most of the
Oh,
time.
see, I can
but
tell
I can
you
tell you like the band as soon as I
Name,
hear
yeah,
it.
or who's singing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Yeah.
But
So
I was more like Metallica, Megadeth. I enjoy that music.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I was the precursor because basically, just recently was going through my music collection.
So you had the Big Bopper.
Well, I've heard your music collection, and it's soft rock.
No,
Is how I
no, no,
would,
no,
you
no,
know.
no.
The Eagles.
Yes, I do definitely have the Eagles.
Definitely not enough Don Henley though.
Black
I don't know,
Hawk.
I got a
I
lot
don't know
of
how you
that-
can have the Eagles, no Don Henley.
Did you have Black Hawk?
No.
No, he doesn't have that.
So a lot of Led Zeppelin.
There
a
is-
lot
there
of
is some Zepp.
Leonard Skinner.
Yep.
Journey.
Outlaws.
Yep.
Black Sabbath.
Not as much as you should have, but I'll allow it. That's
What do you mean?
you got like 3 songs, man. Come on. You need like an album.
No, I do have the album.
Which one?
he only listens to those 3 songs though.
We
Is it the Black
sold our souls for rock and roll.
Oh, okay.
one?
That's an okay album.
See, I enjoyed Kiss as well growing up.
Kiss.
Kiss was.
I
not
had
a-
so many albums.
No.
I'd listen to an album as soon as I got home.
Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, Kiss was not. Kiss was a little too showy for me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was too. I mean, the
I
painted
thought you would have been a
face-
Gene Simmons fan.
Not necessarily.
I became a Gene Simmons fan when I watched that TV show.
Family Guy.
No, his actual like
Yeah.
reality show or what?
Yeah,
Family
he had one,
Jewels.
didn't he?
Yeah, Family Jewels.
That was hilarious because I was like, dude, Gene Simmons is just an everyday man, just trying to go through life, but he's popular and he has to put makeup on.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, without the makeup, he wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, they tried that. It's the is it the fourth Kiss album
Yeah, I
or
believe.
the fifth one where they have that cover where they don't have the makeup on, and like people would pick it up, be like, "This isn't Kiss. What the, like who are these guys? Like what is it?" It's like no,
So-
that was Kiss.
So Gwen Stefani,
Yes.
she was with a band, and I'm at a loss for the name of that band that she
Black
was.
Eyed Peas.
No, that's Fergie.
Fergie? Oh, yeah.
Fergie ruined the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, you think
Yeah.
so?
Yes, the Black Eyed Peas were doing just fine, and then Fergie came along.
Yeah,
No Doubt, I think is the band you're talking about.
Oh, that's right. No doubt.
Yes.
That is the band.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting? I like the work that Fergie did with Black Eyed Peas.
See, what isn't my problem is I think they should have created a different band.
Like,
Like-
change the name.
Yeah, like okay, like you just said, Gwen Stefani, right?
Right.
And then she was with No Doubt,
Right.
right?
And then she branched out on her
and then she
own.
went back to being Gwen Stefani.
Right.
Right. So Fergie was by herself.
Right.
And the Black Eyed Peas
Picked her up.
was just, I think it was just Will I Am and the DJ guy, and they were making R&B for a while. Because
Yeah.
if you listen to early
early
Black Eyed Peas, it's really like our R&B, real like
It's real different.
street music. It's kind of like a Tribe Conquest in that sort of like hip hop, but smooth hip hop.
Okay.
It's like that. And then Fergie comes along. Now, I would have been fine if they had just named their band something different and been like, oh, this is a collaboration band, not the Black Eyed Peas.
What would you have called it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because she did some of her own.
Fergie and the brothers, I don't know. Something.
Fergalicious and the Funky
Well,
Bunch.
yay, Fergalicious and the Funky Bunch. That's perfect. That's because Marky Mark ain't using it anymore.
That's right.
So you know what? The Funky Bunch, or just something that wasn't the Black Eyed Peas, so that Will I Am and the DJ guy could have gone back to that,
Right.
Or kept it separate.
Well,
But
I
now you
think
put
they-
them together, and people are like, "Oh, Black Eyed Peas," and you're like, "Well, which Black Eyed Peas? Are we talking about pre-Fergie or post-Fergie?"
They're
You
usually
have to
talking
like
about
figure out which one.
post-Fergie.
And usually it's like like the modern Black Eyed Peas. So you're like, "Oh, okay," Boom Boom Pow, stuff like that. Fergalicious was Fergie's album.
Right. So if you think about it,
I think
the
London
Black
Bridge is
Eyed
one.
Peas bringing Fergie in really kind of like made it more of a mainstream popular
No,
pop.
it really did boost them into the pop sort of.
and not
hits
really pop.
genre.
Yeah, I mean it's somewhat rap.
Yeah, well, because Will.i.am kept throwing his verses down,
Right.
Yeah.
and then they kind of experimented with like
Who was
the
Andre
music.
3000
The
with?
music at the time was that techno kind
Yeah.
of upbeat experimentation for that. Andre 3000 was with Outkast.
Outcast, that's right.
That was a collab. That was the two of them
That's
together.
why I keep thinking about them.
Yeah,
Outkast.
that was Outkast. And
that
then
right?
Andre 3000 went crazy, and
Yeah.
he had to be told to get out of the band. Yeah, and that's why they don't exist anymore.
So, two notes. One note is that I do have some Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Yeah, in my
you know-
collection.
You know what? That's very Californian of you.
I mean, I grew up listening to that with my mother, so yeah.
I don't know why. I always feel like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like if you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers,
You're
it's
usually
because
from
you're either
California.
from California or you've moved to California, and like that's like our staple is we've got the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Sublime, and we're like, yeah, that's our
Where
California.
did you two
bands.
come from?
What?
You two. You
You two?
remember that?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
you two
U2.
came from the other side of the pond,
Right.
'Cause-
Ireland.
Ireland. Yeah, they're Irish.
Well, the funny part is they put out an album that went out free to every Apple user.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they
did.
do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, they've
they-
got a
they-
lot of
they're-
work. They've
man,
got a great
they
body
have-
of work.
They have been doing it almost as long as the Stones. Well, not
no,
maybe
no,
that
no.
long, but
A little less than that, I think.
I feel like they have the same amount of albums at this point because you two really pumped out the.
Yes.
They did. Their last album that they put that one that they pushed out was okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't great though.
Okay. I mean, it's you two.
Yeah.
I like that. There's a lot of messages in their music,
There is.
which that was an important part for Bono. Is Bono the
Yeah.
leader? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Bono.
is.
He's because they're from Ireland, so some of their songs tell like stories from Ireland that people don't know about.
Right.
Like is it Bloody Sunday? Mm-hmm. Tells about a specific event in Ireland itself.
It was Bloody Sunday, from what I remember, is about the bombing that happened.
The IRA bombing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. But I mean, they make some good songs.
I mean, we could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. I mean, there was the Valentine Day Massacre.
Ah, yes,
Remember?
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day Massacre. Was
Yes,
really,
if
are you
people
familiar
think
with
that Valentine's Day
I've
is
heard about
because
it,
of the heart-loving, I want you to be my Valentine, it's not.
Right.
It's a very dark holiday. We turned into chocolate, love, and sadness, but it's very dark.
And there used to be a movie out. Well, I'm sure it's still around somewhere.
What, for the Valentine's Day Massacre?
Yes.
I believe so. I think there's a couple.
There's a couple
Oh,
different
there are a
ones.
couple?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
there's like a Hollywood movie and then there's like a documentary.
The Hollywood movie is the one I'm pretty sure I saw.
Yeah, I think that's. Oh man, it's like early '80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good movie.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The other
I
thing,
couldn't tell you who's in it though. Like I
no.
could tell you scenes
No,
from the movie, but I can't like picture the actors to tell you who's in it.
No, I could.
It's one of those like movies. It's
Yeah.
you just have to watch it to watch it.
So, the other note
Yes.
that and I'm going to go back a little bit to when
Sure,
we're
sure.
talking about rap and pop.
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur.
Oh, what about Tupac?
They've just recently found some DNA evidence to identify the
The killer.
killer.
We all know it was Suge Knight.
Yeah, they actually.
We all know it was Suge Knight. Don't try to tell us it was
I
anybody
saw that
else.
same article. They opened it back up in Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey, DNA evidence is
Yeah.
DNA evidence. I mean,
That
if
is
you
true.
can-
I mean,
but
and
it
it's acceptable.
It was Suge Knight. I'm just telling you right now.
Not to mention, I mean, we don't have a limitation
on murder.
on murder.
Yeah.
Yes, there is no statute of limitations on murder, which is probably a good thing.
That came up in Justified.
Yes, it does come up in Justified. Yeah.
Speaking
although
of Justified,
Yeah.
Kevin, having that background of not violence but unsavory
Experiences?
experiences. Yeah, you are like the Timothy Oliphant character in Justified because now you work in a correctional.
Raylan Gibbons.
Raylan Gibbons
What season are we on that?
Will's on season 3.
just started season 3.
I think I'm on season 4.
I think I need to check it out again.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm or 4. I mean, I've watched it all the way through. I'm just watching it again.
Well,
Yeah.
what's funny is that I told you I couldn't handle much more than maybe season 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching season 1 and season 2, and I go, "This is really good." I remember as
Season-
the stories are going, right?
Season 3 is a little. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's the one with the mob, the guys from Detroit,
Oh,
right? Because
I
season.
don't know.
Oh well, so season 2 is the mom.
yeah. Season 2 is the
Yeah.
hillbillies.
So season 1 is one set of hillbillies,
right.
which is the Crowders.
Right.
Where you get to meet everyone's favorite psychopath, Boyd. And then you get to season 2, which is the other side of the basically the other family that runs the city in
Bennetts?
Kentucky. The Bennetts, yeah.
Right.
They've been at war forever. It's basically Hatfields McCoys.
Well, so you've got the Crowders.
Yep.
You got the Bennetts.
Yep.
And do you have Franklins, or the Bennetts live in Franklin?
No, the Franklin, like the butcher dude.
I don't know.
I think the butcher guy's last name is Franklin.
Oh,
Because there's
okay.
the butcher, the pig farmers and the butchers. They do the weed,
Right. Oh,
Or they
right.
were
right.
selling- they were selling
doing the
weed.
Yeah. And
and
then
then
Mama,
they weren't, and then Mama took over.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really the Bennetts, the Crowders, and the
Gibbons.
Gibbons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 main families that have been Hatfielding and McCoy,
Right.
the whole town that they live in.
I got a kick out of Given's relationship with Dickie, I think it is, and Cover, which are Mama's sons, and Doyle.
Yeah, he's got history with all of them,
Yeah.
except for the one that is the scrawny dude.
Yeah, Dickie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause he beat him up.
That's funny. Yeah, and Cover. I think is the big guy.
Oh yeah, the big guy
Yeah,
who's
that's
a little special.
Yeah, he's a little.
He's a little special. Sorry,
little off.
spoiler alert if you haven't seen Justified. Sorry about that. But if you haven't seen Justified at this point, there's something wrong with you because that's such a good show.
So
You just got to go and watch it.
I'm
You
going
really
to be
do.
interested to see how I do with season 3.
That's fun. Season 3 is like it's okay. It's
Well,
it's a little sluggish. I'll admit there's some parts that are a little sluggish, but it picks up. It gets good.
Well, doesn't Boyd start to grow his?
Yes, Boyd tries to grow his empire with Ava.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they get into some shenanigans.
Right.
It actually, you know, it's funny how the story culminates. I won't give anything away, but it's like that. You know, Boyd is always Boyd, right?
Right.
And Raylan's always Raylan. It's really all the characters in the town around those two that change throughout the telling of the story. Like, so as the seasons go, all the other characters are the ones who, like, either, you know, build up their development or they get shot doing something silly. Yeah, it's just this crazy, like, way about it. And it's like, oh, really the only two people that were solid in who they were is Raylan and Boyd.
Yeah.
And their friendship is the most simplest friendship ever. It's because they both dug coal when they were kids. Mm-hmm. And Boyd saved Raylan's life one time.
And the other way around.
And then
Boyd is now saved.
Well, and then
I think
and then
Boyd is
Raylan shot
Ra-
Boyd, so they made up for it because he didn't kill him. So he counted that as saving his
that's
life.
right.
Shot him in the chest, but not to kill him.
But wasn't that Ava who shot him?
No, Ava shot his brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a fantastic show, and the new one is, it's different. Mm-hmm. I think it's the pacing is what's getting me, because you know it's not. It's a step away from like sort of the episodic story. Like Justified is a long story, but it's also episodic, right? Like some things are going on in the episode, and then they carry the story.
Right.
Whereas this new one is really one of those kind of miniseries. So the whole series is going to be basically what
One story.
the mystery is about. So the mystery unfolds as you go. So you really have to pay attention. Because I had to rewatch the first episode because I totally missed a part. And so when I got to the second episode, I was like, what am I missing here? Like, what was I not paying attention to? And then I went back and I watched it and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
So
that's where you have to, if you're going to watch the new one, just pay attention.
So the new one is is it standalone? In other words, if you didn't watch the first 7,
Yeah, because it's just Raylan.
okay,
That is, you know, you have to understand like who he is. You know, he's a U.S. Marshal, and there's 7 seasons devoted to telling you who he is. This one is it's written by the same guy,
okay,
so the story is the same in the same universe essentially, but it's kind of a standalone deal because basically Raylan was in Kentucky for Justified.
right,
At the end of Justified, he goes back to Florida.
right, okay,
Where he's because in the first episode he was in Florida.
right,
So at the end he goes back to Florida.
okay,
So in this one he comes from Florida to Detroit, basically to like.
they transfer him.
Well, no, it's not transfer. It's because he's delivering fugitives,
Oh,
and he has to show up to testify, and then they borrow him because the judge asked for it. So then they're like, oh, you'll be here for 24 hours, but then a whole bunch of things happen within those 24 hours. That's kind of how the series of unfortunate events starts. And then that's what trickles him into this, you know, mini series of problems, basically. So it's that's how this one works. But if you didn't watch Justified, you could watch this standalone. It is I guess technically standalone.
well, cool.
Yeah,
I'll
so
look
that's
for-
good.
I'll look forward to that.
That's good. You guys didn't watch F1 though, did you?
No,
I didn't get a chance to. No.
Yeah. Oh man.
Was it
good? Not. I mean, it was exciting for 30 seconds.
Then that's when they started.
So Lewis Hamilton got pole for
Yeah.
qualifying. So he's in first. Max Verstappen, of course, is second. Lando Norris is third. That McLaren is really starting to show its spots. So they go for the initial lap to get going, right as the lights go out. Mm-hmm. And Lewis has good takeoff, but I felt like what he did was he tried to defend Lando more than he did Max, and Max just got right in front of him. And then so did Lando. And Lewis just kind of blew apart and lost all of his momentum, basically.
His mojo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with that car. Like, I feel like it's getting better, the Mercedes,
Right.
but it's not where it should be.
It's not catching up.
Yeah, so that was it, really. And then basically the race is pretty much boring. No one really broke down. No one really crashed or anything. It was no rain. And then at the end, Perez, he actually managed to work his way up the field. He got some points. But I think what was interesting was at the end for the celebration, Lando has this deal where he slams down the champagne bottle on the ground to give extra like swirl
Right.
to the champagne.
Right.
So he goes and he does that.
And it breaks.
And no, Max Verstappen's trophy falls off the pedestal,
Oh, Jesus.
and it's like a vase looking thing, and it broke in like 4 pieces. And Lando like looked at it, was like, "Oh shit!" And then he started spraying everybody with it. And so it turns out that vase was about 60,000 euros. It took 6 months to make, and Red Bull wants a replacement. So Christian Horner said he is going to be sending the bill to McLaren because he's not paying for it. This cost cap
But of
thing is
course.
getting serious,
But
man.
of
They were
course.
like,
Yeah, it
"No,
is.
we're not spending money on that. You're going to pay for that." I just thought it was funny because it was like, wow, I've never seen that happen. I've never seen someone break someone else's trophy like
But
that.
you know, it's funny. It has occurred to me that when they are on the podium and something like, I would expect something like that to almost happen. You know.
No, you're not wrong, because it's like, what do you know? You're in the moment, you're celebrating. Like, I'm surprised I haven't seen it more often, but I think
Yeah.
more often than not, the trophy is like a standard like metal piece.
Yeah.
It's not a vase, like weird thing that they
Glass
made.
or crystal.
Yeah, there's some glass ones I've seen. So I'm surprised some of those haven't broken.
Probably closer to crystal than glass.
Probably it's probably cheaper. Although you know what sucks though is you don't get to keep that trophy if you win it.
Does it go to the team or something like
Yeah,
that?
so it goes to you might be able to like keep like a special trophy, like
Maybe you get a smaller one or something.
well no
like
not like if you won, like if this was your first race, first victory, I'm sure the team will let you keep that trophy. More times than not, the trophy goes to the headquarters,
that. Right.
and then if you want, as the driver, you can pay to have a replica made
Really.
for you. So some of the like trophies are replicas actually.
If they have them personal.
Yeah, like so if you really want to keep it, then they're actually you actually have to pay for your own replica.
Well, not that one. You can just keep the pieces.
Well, I'm.
I know, right? I was like, yeah, it's 60,000 euros or $20 in super glue.
and $20 in super.
and a long plane ride on your private jet. I'm sure you can put it back together while you're going somewhere.
Oh, yeah, you got nothing
Should
better
be-
to do.
Should be fine. But we only have one race left
Oh, really?
before the summer break.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be this last race this weekend and then a substantially long, like 4.5 week drought.
Vegas hasn't happened, has it?
No, Vegas is in November.
Okay.
And it's 3 days instead of 4 because they got to do it at night. It's a nighttime race, and it's also a Saturday night. So Saturday night, Las Vegas, on that date, is going to be fantastic.
Unbelievably.
Like, I am so stoked to see how much of a disaster that is.
My dad still thinks he's going.
I appreciate your dad thinking that he's going to go, and if he goes, sweet. He better take
might
a lot
if
of
his
pictures.
boss
He might-
has a booth.
if they have a booth.
Oh, that's right.
That'd be sweet. I mean, I just think, if you're gonna go, I'm seriously kind of considering the over the seas one.
Right? Cheap,
I
easy. Well, it's
after
cheaper.
seeing that dude do that Bahrain thing, I wouldn't mind going. It looked fun.
I believe it.
It looked cool, and it was cheap. Like super cheap.
Or
He
cheap-
flew into a
or
different country and
cheaper.
then drove there, right?
Yeah, well, he flew to Bahrain, on Dubai Air, right? So he got to buy air tickets from like L.A. to. There's a transfer. You have to go from one to the other.
Yeah, it's like 1,500 for that, right?
And it was 600 for economy or 12 for business. And if you're going 14 hours, you're going to do business.
Yeah, you are.
Is that
But the business on Dubai Air is beautiful.
sweet?
Like fold out bed.
Oh.
You've got a little like cubicle basically that you hang out in. They bring you a pretty good looking meal. And you get like a whole entertainment center desk deal, and you've got enough room to like put your legs down, and you can stand up if you want. You got the whole space. Looks
Right.
really, 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 really comfortable.
I mean, that's
So-
good for 1,200.
Yeah, for $1,200, like it's
Round trip?
both ways
Oh,
or
okay.
one way.
2,400.
2,400. So that's the most
Round trip.
expensive part. But tickets for F1 were $150 a day.
Really?
So he was just sitting. He was sitting in not the main stands.
Sure.
So not off where they have the pit.
The paddock,
He
yeah.
was like the first turn in, and from that place you could see him come off the first turn, go accelerate in front of you, and then after they came around the hill, you could see him off directly in front of you on like turn 10 and going through the straightaway. So he had a pretty good spot for $150.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And
And you could
then-
also see the pit?
Well, no, but you had a little screen that you could watch.
Okay.
What they don't tell you is that the announcer for when you're wherever you are is the local language. So it was definitely in Arabic. But here's the thing: like, if you're going, right, you pay your $10 for your F1 TV subscription, and you turn your phone on,
Listen to
put a headphone in.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need ear protection.
Oh, yeah.
It is
yeah,
it is
that's right.
loud. So you put your headphones in anyway, and then you've got the Americans or the Brits doing the commentary for you while you're watching it live, and there's only like a 5-second delay. So
But even then, like watching
then,
that,
yeah.
it's probably exciting in Arabic even.
it looked like tons of fun. And then the seating area for the concession stands. So he was like, they had like falafels, sandwiches,
Falafel.
all the bottles of water, stuff like that. It was all like $5-6.
Oh, that's sweet.
I mean, like for what he paid,
Right.
you would kill to pay it at a sporting event in America.
I
wonder
mean,
what
think
is-
about it in Vegas. That sandwich would probably cost $50.
Dude, that sandwich is a sandwich is gonna be $50, and a beer is gonna cost you $75. Yeah,
And a water.
oh,
Don't even
a
wanna know.
water is probably not even
$10.
free.
Yeah.
You get it from the dude on the walkway, sell them for $1 because
Yes.
that's the cheapest way you're gonna see it.
Bring a cooler.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I can't imagine the concessions at Vegas. Like, where are you're gonna get out there and pray you can get to the McDonald's between practice 1 and practice 2?
No, you hope there's a food truck on the side.
Dude, even if I were on a food truck, I'd be charging exorbitant prices.
You're not wrong.
I'd be like, "What? You want some tacos? $5 a taco."
I'd be good for $5 a taco.
I don't think the casinos are going to allow that.
Well,
Well,
would
different
have-
spots you'd have to go to.
yeah. I mean, from what I've seen, and remember, we're talking about like outside of like the seating areas, right? Like, there's going to be spots where they can't necessarily control, or they can control, I guess. But if you set up at the right time, you probably can get your good concessions truck in there.
Well, I'm thinking the concession trucks or the food trucks are going to be, so if you're on the street side, on the strip side,
Right.
and there's a break, right? You go through the casino to the back alley, what I'm going to call it, or whatever street
like-
that is back there.
Yeah.
Like the back street that's not part of being locked in.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could have food trucks back there.
if
that's true.
anything, they probably have special permits for them.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how
Special
they
permits.
control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, but, because it's not like, practice 1 goes and then you have like 3 hours,
Okay.
in between. Like, that's the thing is, like, we watch it here, we're spoiled. We can just watch one after the other and we're fine.
Yeah.
But when you're there, you have to realize, like, practice 1 is like noon to 1, right? And then it's like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. 3 to 4 is the next one. So there's, they have, because they need time for the crew guys to go eat lunch and
Sure.
work on the car and do all the stuff, the behind the scenes stuff we don't really see.
Right.
So, you think about it, okay, cool, Vegas, like, all right, practice 1, sweet. Now it's the middle of the day. Where are we going? We have 3 hours to kill. realistically before we have to be back here for practice too, right? Like, so where are we gonna go? We've got 3 hours.
Well, you go
Right next to the
No.
casino.
You
Yeah,
know
and
what?
if you're in the casino, you're going to their 24-hour grill or one of their fancy restaurants.
But
Which
if
are
you're
going to
really
cost you $1,000.
If you're really smart, you got a suite with a kitchen, and you go back to your hotel room and cook something up, and air conditioned and all that. So
Yeah, well, that would be some proper planning, right there. That was
So-
proper planning a year ahead. So if you want to go 2024, Will, I'm with you.
so
Hopefully tickets go down, but they probably won't.
Oh no, they'll find a way to probably make more seating.
right,
What did we not maximize this year that we could maximize next year?
right.
But I mean, watching that virtual drive-through, I mean, it looked like most of the stands were covered. Because there are some tight turns. Really, you're just looking at like the back corners of some buildings, or
Right.
maybe like one of the front sections of a building. I mean, I imagine maybe a couple of parking garages might have a view that you're not aware of, that you're not thinking about. But where they're building the stands is basically along the strip.
Didn't the video
Sure.
game have like the setup on how it should be?
Yeah, it's a general idea of the build. So the stands are in front of the Bellagio. They're that's a whole section of stands.
Well, I'm willing to bet that they're going to stop foot traffic. In other words, that the strip as we know it, and people,
Oh, they're closing it off for
yeah,
sure.
they've got.
Well,
to
I
close it
mean,
off. Just
yeah.
for safety reasons.
Yeah, I mean you can't have people wandering on the track, for
Well,
sure.
No, I wasn't thinking about the track. I was thinking about the sidewalks.
Oh,
the
well-
sidewalks are pretty big.
Well,
and
that's
could
what I
see where
mean.
they
The
put
track
stands
is
on that.
it's the street track,
right.
so the sidewalk is the track.
Oh, they better get it repaved and everything already.
They have been repaving since April.
Well,
They've been paving the racetrack basically.
yeah, but there's barriers. There's cement barriers between.
Oh, that stuff all comes up.
Yeah.
At this point right now, like what needs to be taken out has been taken out, and what can be put back maybe like temporarily, Mm-hmm. So I mean, I imagine they're changing. You probably won't recognize the section of the strip once it's done. Like once the racetrack is put in, that's probably going to be it because the contract I think is for 10 years.
Oh wow.
So it's a 10-year deal they signed to go to Vegas. So it's like, okay, because the paddock itself is a permanent structure they're building. Like that will be there the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So that's the part. And it's like the start is kind of in a weird spot. Most of the strip is like the back end of the race, like leading to the paddock because the paddock is off on the side. So it's basically like the beginning of the race goes and then they kind of go through some back streets. They go around the big globe looking thing and then they come around to basically be on the strip and they just power through the strip. It'll probably be a DRS zone if I had to guess.
So it's really.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
So there's a guy in here the other night, and he was saying how there's a lot more. There's 58 accidents that they attribute to people gawking at the globe,
Oh, I bet.
and
That thing is massive.
it's cool looking because
It is cool. It's because they can make anything on it.
so they made the world's largest jack-o'-lantern.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, this
How
guy-
are you not going to stop and look at that?
Exactly. And another one they do is Earth.
Yes, the
The
Earth
the
one.
globe.
And then I think don't they do the moon?
I don't know about that
Have
one.
they done the moon yet? Someone said they were going to do the moon.
Okay,
Like do like a full representation of the moon.
right.
Basically, so it looks like the moon is sitting in Vegas,
Interesting.
which I thought was kind of cool. But I'm with Lane on this one. I hope they show the race on the globe.
Oh, that would be
I want to see the F1 race like on the globe, so drivers like can see themselves, and everyone else can see like what's going on. I think that's the perfect use for that. It's a big giant screen. It needs to show
Oh,
the
it's,
race.
it's going to be a Moon's Resort, Las Vegas. They're going to have an active lunar colony.
What?
That's what it says right here. They're going to have a planet-sized glass sphere
Yeah.
Yeah.
that moves around.
Oh,
Oh,
rotates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rotates.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the jack-o'-lantern did that too. I mean, maybe not, but I mean,
I imagine it was animated. Like it wasn't just sitting there, right? It was like animated.
no, yeah, absolutely. It was
Okay.
it was projected onto the sphere.
Yeah.
And stuff. So the world one, it rotates.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
yeah.
Does it show the prime meridian? Does it show day and night, or was it just all like day globe?
I don't know.
Oh, see, that's the thing I'd be curious about.
If they can do
Like
the
if it was,
prime
well, if it
meridian.
was like
Yeah.
if it's currently dark in Vegas, is the globe got the dark? What do they call that?
Dark side of the moon.
No, not dark side. not the.
We're talking about Earth.
But same concept.
What is that called? The part where an Earth becomes there's a name for it.
Well,
Do you know what it starts with?
No, but I'd know it if I heard it. But it's a specific name we made for the transition of
night to day
night to day. Yeah,
And day to night.
there's a it has an actual word.
for the.
But I
for
would
the
be
nighttime.
curious.
It's basically the nighttime.
Yeah, but I would be curious if
How they would do that.
if the globe like real time
Oh.
satellite. Like
Oh.
if it's dark in Vegas, is it dark on the globe, but you see the sunshine like on the other side of it? That would be cool.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, so basically, I don't think you're going to see the sun, but you're going to see the light that hits the Earth as it rotates, and I think that'll rotate.
Well, I think if anything, they would probably spotlight it in certain areas, and then when it's day in Vegas, you're not going to see the light, more than likely. Blacking it out is probably going to be hard, too, in those other areas. Nighttime would be easier.
Definitely at night. But what is it? Have they said what it looks like during the day? Like, is it noticeable? Mm-hmm. I haven't really seen it, so I don't.
That's why 58 accidents.
Oh, so those aren't nighttime accidents.
Not
Those, like,
just nighttime.
daytime.
No,
Okay.
that's both. It's both.
I
And
gotcha.
it's probably all tourists that.
It is. It is.
Because anybody in Vegas is like, it's just another thing that's here. We see it all day, every day. They were talking about putting up that memorial. It's going to have a bunch of almost like pillars of light for 58 of them, if I remember right.
Oh, really?
For the amount of people that died during that shooting
Oh.
during the Mandalay
Oh,
Bay.
the Mandalay Bay.
They,
Oh, okay.
they got a whole setup with water and everything that's going to go there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That would be cool.
That's nice.
It
They-
is.
They're going to build up. I mean, because it's definitely something that needs to be honored. You know, it was a big event in Vegas.
Yeah,
and
and
I know a lot of people pulled together for that. That's the Vegas strong. That's why part of the reason the Vegas Golden Knights team
Did so well.
is so positive, like because they came out.
Right after.
You know, right after they were, all about supporting the community. Like it was crazy. So like they even had the Vegas Strong jerseys they
yeah.
wore. Like that I like that. Like when a team comes out, especially those guys because they were new. Like nobody knew who they were.
Yeah, but they're a Nevada team.
Yeah.
They're going to be rooting for Nevada.
Yeah. I mean, from what I understand, the city as a whole really came together.
Well, yeah, they had to.
They definitely
Yeah.
I was for an event like that, the city really did
Come together.
and it was the right way too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
A violent come together.
well, it wasn't like I don't like when like they blast out like oh this is why gun violence is it was like we lost people but we people were saved, people were donating blood, people were like how can we help, like what do we do, how do we help,
What is needed? How can we?
how can we get past this together
Right.
and prove that we have solidarity.
Yeah, it took them 3 years to come up with the idea because they've been working on it for that long.
Well, and I imagine much like the Twin Towers, it's a vote based, just like you have to vote on how the memorial is going to be and
Location.
yeah, where you're going to put it and what it's supposed to look like, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I will be looking forward to going and paying my respects.
Another
Gonna go
thing
check it
opening
out.
in Nevada that I just saw.
What do we got?
NASA is reopening their Nye County astronaut training facility.
Really?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be opening up here soon. They want to send the first woman and person of color
To the moon.
to the moon, and
Okay.
they're having them train there.
All
They're also planning on using that training facility for the Mars mission later on.
Fair.
They're thinking around 2030s.
2030 to go to Mars.
Yeah, 10 years. I mean,
Well, 2030. I mean, that's within 10 years.
We should be
know.
able to do that.
I mean, again, the problem getting to Mars is not difficult.
Well, no,
It's logistics.
It's
and,
logistics
and
and-
money.
like that one training facility that they're in right now that built the 3D printer. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be in that for a year, so they want to see what the psychological effects for a year is on that. But they're supposed to have to figure out different things because they're not going to have ready supplies. They're supposed to be figuring out agriculture up there so they can have fresh vegetables that they can actually mix in and incorporate with any of the dry goods that they have
Okay.
so they can make better food.
Sure.
You know what? That's honestly, that's probably half the psychological.
Yeah, because a home cooked meal is one of those things that
just
you're
a
going to
meal.
miss.
Just a meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, this delicious freeze-dried toothpaste tube that I've been eating orange juice out of is delicious, but what I wouldn't give for a freshly cut squeeze of orange juice right now.
Right? And it's supposed to be a huge morale boost, and it
Yeah.
should be because everybody loves food. Everybody is a foodie in their own way.
Well, and I mean, it's we're talking about like basic greenhouse tech, right? Like
Yeah.
that's all they need.
Yeah, so it'll be like potatoes and things that grow in the ground, essentially. So onions and all that.
So, stuff
Onions
you
and
could grow.
potatoes.
Yeah.
That one guy lived
Yeah.
on Mars in that book
Yeah.
off those stuff, though.
Well, what
That's
about
right,
the
Martian movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that Matt Damon did.
Yeah, Martian.
Yeah, so actually they say
The
that
Martian.
that movie is the most scientifically accurate movie that they've put out about space.
Interesting.
Like
Yep.
next to Apollo 13, which it counts because we're just retelling a story. But to tell a story that actually hasn't happened yet, that is the most scientifically accurate. Like that would really work.
It is plausible.
Yeah,
Yes.
you could really live off potatoes like that. You could really do all the things he did. In theory, like they all scientifically make sense.
Right.
Nothing in there is science fiction. It's all science fact.
So,
Yeah, because you use the poop,
Yeah,
mix it
yeah,
in,
just
create a fertilizer.
Make fertilizer.
Yep. I mean,
and then you
I-
had potatoes.
and I'm
Some
sure
potato.
that spurned some thought, for like, hey, what happens if
Well,
the
I mean,
transport-
these conversations have happened at NASA forever.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you have to think about like, remember we thought about going to the moon since the 60s, right? Like the 50s to 60s. And then we got to the moon. So after we got there, the conversations in NASA changed, right? How
Do we go
do
farther?
we build we build a capsule? If we built a capsule, how do we get materials there?
Where do we
Okay.
go next?
Yeah, well, where do we go next? But like if you're on
Should we put a colony on there?
if you're on a colony,
Yeah.
is it sustainable to grow vegetables? Right? What do vegetables need and how do you get it there? Right?
Water, sunlight, and
Water, UV light,
some
technically.
carbon.
You do need a little carbon, oxygen, and then they make oxygen too.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you're like, okay, can we capture the oxygen they make to refill the oxygen in the ship? And all these questions. NASA's thought about them for 20 years. We just keep cutting their budgets, so it all sits in a folder somewhere, sitting. Hypothetical moon colony. Phase 10 through 15 has probably been thought of in the 80s, and we're just now dusting off those records going, so
And
what
looking
were
at 'em.
these old scientists looking at? Oh, that's right. How to go to the moon.
That's right. Look at them again, rehash some things, saying, that might not work. We should do it this way.
Or now it's like, 30 years later, you're like, why would we use that? Why don't we just use this? Like,
Yeah, technology has
yeah,
advanced.
technology's gone so far. You're like,
Speaking of advanced technology,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at AI again.
oh,
What do you guys think about the deep fakes? They've gotten pretty good so far.
what do you mean deep fake? Like those,
Like the deep fake on persons, like the president and all that,
Oh, like pictures of people together
or talking.
or talking
Yeah,
or giving
it's-
speeches.
It's gotten really good.
like that Elvis thing I sent you.
Exactly.
That you really enjoy.
Well, that's different. So I'm actually talking like they get the words in the mouth and everything speech
like-
correctly matched up.
I mean, it's
I saw one.
cool.
I saw one that was really good.
It's cool, like
See-
but scary.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a level of like where people in this day and age get their news media from. I worry that an AI driven video in the right market makes people believe certain things, they probably shouldn't.
Well, that's my thought. So elections is coming up soon. A well-timed video
Yes.
that has a deep fake can go a long way and could change the tides of a vote
Yep.
easily, especially if it's like the 1 or 2 days before and they can't get out. It's a deep fake. It's not real right away.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially even on the day, if you're watching the news and you see that in the morning, how do you get past that?
that's true. That's actually, yeah, right around election time. That's true.
And that could cause a mass hysteria,
Yeah.
especially afterwards when they figure out it was a deep fake. How many people are going to want to recast the votes, want to recast everything?
Oh man. Well, see, this is why the Writers Guild's still a strike.
Yeah.
Like, the AI is a big conversation piece for the Writers Guild and the SAG Actors Guild. Like, oh, you can just deepfake us in what's one acting.
There's even a lot of like YouTubers like Markiplier. He's getting ready to put out a trailer for his video, but he's not putting it out yet because of the strike. He doesn't want to go against it. He's looking to get permission on it
A lot of
because it was
people are
his
striking.
people. Yeah.
Like, did you see that? What was it? Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre just canceled their whole tour to stand with the strikers.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were like, "Nah, we're good. We don't have to go if you know you're not going to take people serious." Because if you think about it, they're writers themselves, right? They're people who write something and get credit for it. Granted, it's music, it's not movies, but it doesn't matter. You're still writing, and you still want credit for it.
Well, even the music video has to have writers as
Yeah.
well.
So yeah, they canceled their whole tour. A lot of people are really getting behind this, but I didn't think about the deep fake election thing. That's a really
Thought about it because I came
Scary
across
thought.
an article that I saw like them showing Biden talking, and it goes into and the national anthem, baby shark, doo 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 doo, and it went like that. And it lined up perfectly. There was no issues
Yeah,
with the
no,
mouth movement
no.
or anything. And then it got me thinking. I'm like, if it's well timed,
well. I
it can
think
cause issues.
what is it? There's it's the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Correct.
Is all you need someone to say, and you've got basically the entire vocabulary of their tonal. So if you can piece those words together, which is probably not hard in the modern age of recordings and stuff like that.
Technology.
Well, they
Yeah,
got you. They got you,
especially-
Casey.
That's fine. If someone wants to deep fake me all day, go right ahead.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about deep fake. It's kind of like I get a bunch of emails and I read them and I go, "You guys are gaslighting." You're using. It's kind of like it's not that big of a deal. I want to know, where you stand. What? Not. I don't want to know why. I want to know where you stand, how you gonna improve it, the how, what, when, and where.
It's hard to do that with news medias even because a lot of them are left, a lot of them are right. Some of them are extremely left, some of them are extremely right. There's only few in the center.
Right.
Right.
And finding them is
It's difficult.
it's a little difficult.
Not
like U.S.
just- not
Today
just
is one of
that.
them that's in the middle. But
Well,
even then, they swing
They,
here and there.
they tend to lean. Yeah.
Yeah.
USA Today is kind of. You're never quite sure. You're like, are they left a little bit?
Are you left today?
Oh,
You right
today? Yeah. Like, is that just how the news is going? You really have to do your own research.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
So bounce between a bunch of them and then build an opinion off of that.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
It's-
I
yeah.
wouldn't go too far right or too far left when you're checking them out. I'd probably stay like mid left, mid right, and then in the middle.
Which is that's the hard part.
Yeah.
So it's basically, what I'm talking about is basically
Like,
tearing apart the sentence and shortening it in 5 words where you stand on this policy.
Oh, you want the 10-word answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want,
You don't.
I
you
don't want
and
the
then
emotional.
What about the next 10 words, and the 10 words after?
Well, yeah.
That's from the West Wing. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's when they have that. There's a the debate episode has that where Bartlett spends basically the whole episode in camp for getting ready for this debate. And the idea is that you have to come up with the 10-word answers that people want to hear during the debate. And then it goes to the debate, and the Republican guy, he says this 10-word answer, and Bartlett basically goes, "Oh, well, that was the 10-word answer we couldn't figure out." He's like, "And that's pretty good for you, Senator, but what about the next 10 words? Or the 10 words after that?" And basically he just goes into this like tirade of breaking apart the 10-word answer. The 10-word answer is fine for sound bites. I want real answers.
Yeah.
I don't want 10-word answers. I want real answers. I
Things
want
that are
an
gonna-
answer that shows you understand the question.
Well, not just that, but it's like they're supposed to be working for us, not telling us what we're doing. It's God, it's so
frustrating.
it's so frustrating.
It is, especially when you watch it like every day, and you're just like, how did these people get there?
Well,
and then you go, oh yeah, because we voted for them.
Well,
Like the California thing for nicotine kills me because it really shows that people have no idea what happened.
Right.
Like, okay, in Nevada, you can buy menthol cigarettes and flavored tobacco. In California, you cannot because you voted for it. You voted for it.
Well-
Not they didn't stop making them. They didn't do anything else. You voted to have it not be sold in your state.
So here's
Just
the,
because you didn't read the fine print, that's not my fault. You voted for it. It did not stop the production of those things. There are 49 other states that will happily sell you menthol and flavored tobacco.
right.
It
But-
kills me when they go, "Oh, they still make those."
But that's-
I'm like, yes, they still make those. You didn't vote to stop them from manufacturing them. You stopped them from selling them in your state.
Well, that's the key of the problem too. Nobody actually pays attention.
Yeah, it's-
News medias,
yes.
they're looking at what they want to hear. If they hear a little bit of tidbit, they go off of that. They
Yeah.
run with it.
Well, here's the thing. So the voting population voted for that to happen.
All right, that's fair because not
So-
everyone showed up.
Yeah, not everybody showed up.
Well,
and
that's
it's
what
like-
I'm saying too. Voting is one of those things. You have to pay attention. You have to be willing to invest time in watching to
what
see
was-
what's happening in order to vote correctly and want to go vote. Most of them look at something, they're like, "Oh, it's the same stuff. I'm not going to go vote today. It's not worth my time."
Right. And the thing is what I'm talking about is those who are like writing about policy and what they're going to do, and they're gaslighting in between their stuff. And it's like, what is it? One of the email goes, Trump is pissed off at this, or Biden, is going to blow a gasket. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, you're telling me that he's going to have an emotional reaction to a situation.
Yeah,
And I'm like
it's
going,
personal feelings added into the actual subject matter.
exactly.
I got you.
And it's like, what the fuck? Don't give me the short and skinny of it.
Yeah, like what's the actual problem, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
what has caused this riff of emotion to show up? Like, is it, we voted this or we didn't vote for that, or he can't get this past the House? Like, what has caused him to be angry?
Right.
And it's an article, and it's like, well, he got angry at this and he probably this, and you're like, why?
Or he got depressed about this, or
Yeah, and
it's some emotional response to the
10
situation.
pages of emotional, like,
drivel.
yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's what happened.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Or-
that doesn't sound that bad.
But I don't even want to know what happened. What I want to know is what's the issue, what's the solution.
Yes.
What's going to happen, where is it going to happen, how are you going to do it? It's like this is the problem
And then you can formulate your opinion after that.
based upon who, what, when, and where.
Yeah, you want the facts, so you can make your opinion about the facts,
Exactly.
And the
and
problem,
that's fine.
Well, no.
well, the problem is they're not going to give you the facts.
Exactly.
No, well, not anymore.
Well, they're going
You
to
have
give you
to
the
build
fa-
off of it yourself and find the facts yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, they're going to give you the facts. It's just you got to decipher all the emotional bullshit.
They're
Well,
giving you
it's-
different facts. They're
well,
not
no,
giving you
it's-
the exact facts. They're giving you the facts from their point of view.
Correct. And
Well,
the-
no, it's what is it? It's an interpretation. It's that person's interpretation of the facts,
Correct.
right? Like it's someone going, oh, here's what happened, but let me tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's mixed into those two things. That's why I think we can all agree, we all miss the news. Like the real
Like
news.
Walter Cronkite
You remember
news?
when you used to turn on the news and it was like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened. This is going to the Senate and this is going to the House and this is what people are thinking about this. And you were like, oh, this is fantastic. Not like, well, we've got 6 people here on the right and we're all going to decipher what we think happened over this last election. And you're like, I don't care what you 6 people think.
Right.
Give me facts.
Right.
Yeah, no, I miss the news. I think the news, I want to say the news in the 90s to about 2004
Dude.
was somewhat not biased.
So check this out. If you can get a hold of the footage, right, of the 1960s news broadcast and the 1970s news broadcast.
I'm sure I can. I'm sure there's some on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I mean, I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's like if you look at that and go, "Oh my God, what are we doing?"
You know what? That would be a cool video to watch. News, like news through the time.
Right.
Like just like pick articles or whatever. You know,
Almost
and
documentary style.
yeah, almost like because
Yes.
like basically news channels keep the same guy. Right?
Right.
Like Walter Cronkite was on the news forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Right.
was Dan Rather.
And Dan Rather would be perfect.
Yeah.
If you go from when Dan Rather started
Right.
telling the news
Or
to
Walter-
when he
Go
when he
back
retired.
even farther. Go to Walter Cronkite when he started, and then see the transition into Dan Rather.
Yeah.
And then see the transition into the next guy.
I think that would be fantastic
Oh,
video.
I think it would be a great documentary.
Oh, it probably would.
Because you wouldn't have to pick a policy. The policy or the issue would be presented in the archival footage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, and this is what people.
You go, oh wow, this was the news?
Yeah. Not only was this the news, but it's like you got to decide, or you decided based upon obviously what was being presented, but how it was being presented was factual.
Yeah.
It wasn't emotional until probably
What's going to get you views?
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but what changed was that thing where media was able to be sponsored.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That it was that it's that thing they talk about in that Bush movie where Christian Bale plays Shaney,
Yeah.
and his Shaney character shows you basically how Shaney, when he was working his way up with Bush, how he helped like Fox get funding for their news channel, and then the Fox News channel kind of grows from its news telling to being a corporation, and they run the corporation, which is based off of like media, ads, and time.
Big money.
Big money, yeah. And basically, it was like you saw the change from money, and then you know if you go back to the news at that time and you watch it, you can see the real world change from that movie. You go, oh, that movie's telling you the truth. Like that's when Fox changed, and when Fox changed, the other companies got to go along with it. So it all became money driven.
Yeah, and so if you look at the parallel was money came into the news, and the news changed, right? Based upon funding.
Because
And
you're
the
going where the money is.
And the same thing happens in Congress. The
Oh, yeah.
exact same thing happens in Congress. It's like,
Well, the way they fund themselves is through bills where they have different like corporations that they own. They don't say they own them. It doesn't show, but it's going through different ways to
goes
get
through
back
other
to
family
them.
members.
Yeah.
Sponsorships and
Which is how they get their money.
favors.
I mean, and Lane has, talked about how, those in Congress, those members of Congress that we have voted to put into office, do fundraising for at least 3 hours a day across the street from Congress, across the street
Yep.
from the,
You have to.
yeah.
Because
And-
once you're elected, your whole job is to get elected again,
Right.
And to raise money to do that, and that cost goes up.
Oh.
It used to be, I think it used to be like $100 million would buy you a senator seat, and I think now it's up to like $500 million just to be a senator or more. I think it's almost $1 billion
Wow.
now. I think Trump spent like,
Oh, $4 billion,
yeah, didn't he spend $4 billion on his presidency just by himself?
I believe so.
Which is the
or
first.
more.
That's the first almost real world idea of like the kind of money that people who don't disclose that information have to go and get from other people. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody I can borrow $1 billion from, let alone four.
I don't know anybody I can borrow $100 from usually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
you've got that.
Without putting them into a struggle
yeah,
as well.
right, exactly. So to go to somebody and be like, I just need like $100 million. Someone's gonna be like, well,
If you
for
do-
$100 million, yeah, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. You're like, yeah, sure. Do you want
Pork belly.
pork belly, or what's the other one? Fuel subsidies?
Oh, yeah.
Or, oh no, grain subsidies. That's
Grain
what it is.
subsidies,
Grain,
yeah.
agricultural
Agricultural
subsidies.
subsidies.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's agricultural subsidies always work. That's a good change for anybody.
That's right.
That's just it's crazy though. Again, when I just see these grown people though walk in and go, oh, they still make menthols, and I'm just like, I want to like punch them in the face and be like, yeah, what? Why wouldn't they? Like what?
The problem is,
What did you think happened? They
Like-
just stopped making them? Like they just disappeared out of California because they stopped making? No, that's not what happened. You voted to get them out of your state because you didn't want children smoking Swishers. And instead of just being like, hey, we don't want Swishers in the state, you were like, we don't want anything in the state. And then everyone goes and complains. I haven't heard a single person that's happy about that.
Well, they wouldn't come in here.
No, I get that because they're not smokers.
Right.
But to me, if enough of those people are unhappy, and we just see a fraction of them, right?
Well, you see the fraction that votes.
I've now noticed that I just see the fraction of people who don't, because they have no
Yes.
idea what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh my god, they still make menthols? That's crazy. I haven't seen menthols in forever. Like, yeah, well, yeah, because you voted them out of the state.
How long is
We
that?
didn't vote. We didn't. I told a guy that one time. I was like, you voted for that. He goes, we didn't vote for that. I'm like, yeah, you did. It was part of that tobacco thing a couple years back, and he's like, no, we didn't. I'm all, you should go back and read the fine print there, bud, because it was flavored tobacco and menthols. It's a very big deal.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely surprised that one passed.
Were you?
I honestly thought there were enough menthol smokers in California because I thought menthol was still cool.
No.
Yeah.
Camel Crush made menthol cool, and I thought that was cool enough for California to be like, we need to keep those,
Nope.
which they did.
Well-
Now you can crush the little thing, the bead, and it has a mint flavor, but it's not menthol. So it tastes
A little
absolutely
different.
terrible.
I mean,
apparently.
they probably could have kept the menthol thing because essentially it's just a little.
No menthol.
Isn't it a little
no
device?
Menthol, no, that's a mentholated device.
Okay.
So if you take the menthol out, right? That's what they did. I think they added a mint bead,
The mint,
which is not menthol. It's mint.
tastes horrible.
Tastes horrible,
I believe. it.
and it doesn't offer the same properties.
I mean, cigarettes in general taste horrible.
Menthol itself does properties.
So
Right? That's why cough drops have menthol in them.
Well, we even have that issue when we see cigar smokers from California. Some of them know.
Oh, what happened?
A
to the
lot of them
flavor?
don't.
They still make Tatianas? Yes.
You guys have Swishers? No.
Yes.
You have
Backwoods?
acids?
We have backwoods. We have acids. We sell all of them. I to me, it's funny that like. I mean, I guess it shouldn't be because what they say the last election was the biggest turnout for voters ever, and the number was like 10% of the population.
Right. It was low.
Like, that scares me a little bit.
I always go out and
10% of the
vote.
population
Showed up to vote.
showed up to vote. Like, the rest of us are so just outside the realm of being like, oh, it doesn't matter, or why would I go? And then all of a sudden problems come up, and then people are like, oh my God, this is a problem. You know what? If you didn't vote, you can't bitch about it.
But you also have those actors as well that are pushing their opinions and people follow those.
Yes, which is why I love that Ricky Gervais speech that he gave. That last time he was hosting. What was he hosting?
The Oscars?
Was it? I don't
think it was.
think it was. It was either the Oscars. It was it was the Oscars.
It was?
Yeah, and he was hosting and he was drinking that beer, and he was like, look, you're actors and you're celebrities, and you have no valuable opinion whatsoever. He's like, so come up here, collect your little golden dude, and go sit the fuck back down. He's like, I don't want to hear you tell us about your political agenda. None of that. Because you know
Right.
what? You're nobody, and you shouldn't be telling people these things. And he went off. That was fantastic.
Yeah,
I
'cause
love that. Because it's like, you know what?
They get paid
Thank
for
you.
it,
That's
essentially.
fantastic. Some
Some do.
celebrities do. Some
Yeah.
just think that they have a platform
Yes.
and that they can use it. You know, the one thing I like is I watched this little video yesterday. It was like one of those YouTube short pop-up things or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was Denzel Washington. He was like accepting a speech, or he was giving an award or something. But he was like, "Where's Samuel L. Jackson?" And he's like, "Let me tell you something about Samuel L. Jackson." And he like wrote off like how much Samuel Jackson's made in his career, you know, and how much he's banked in movies. And then he's like, let me tell you something about him that you don't know. and he listed off like 20 or 30 different fundraise like organizations that Samuel Jackson has donated money to. And it was like, wow, you don't hear those things, right? That's fantastic. If you're a celebrity, I think that's what you should do. Donate your money to help charities and, don't tell people
Proper
what to
causes.
vote for. Yeah, don't tell people what to vote for, but put your money where your mouth is.
Well,
And that's fantastic. I thought that was great. I was like, that's perfect.
No, it was. I mean, the thing is though, you get people that are egos, right? That they have a platform.
Yep.
You said it. It's like, and they use that platform to advance their ideology. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you're entertainers. Entertain us. Don't tell me, like you said, don't tell me your political position. Don't tell me.
That's right. I'm never entertained by that.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't tell me that you support green energy, and that you should shut down fossil fuels. It's like it's got to be a graduated migration is what it really needs to be, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean,
Some celebrities have legitimately started like their own foundation.
right.
And if you want to get up and talk about your own foundation,
Okay.
I'm
And
all
what
for
your
that.
foundation
And what
does.
it does, I'm all for that. Hey, if you want to donate, cool. But don't get up there and give me that like, oh, Donald Trump is this terrible person, and don't vote for him. Like,
I mean,
some people like will listen to you, and that means that they listen to your opinion. They don't have their own.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna get up on that platform, give me some facts.
Yeah.
Right? Just lay out the facts for me.
Well, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah, that's what
about
you've been saying.
emails or just give me the facts, people.
I think that's really what it boils down to is like we need to get back to where the facts are what is most prevalent.
Well, we need to get back to a point where the politicians that are in office realize that they're not setting policy. We, the public, should be setting policy.
That's right. We the people.
Which is dangerous. I mean, if you think about it, that's dangerous as well, because we voted for a guy, or not we, but there's a large
population.
that voted for, President 45, and to me, the guy was.
Wait,
I can't.
is President 45 Voldemort? Is it he who should not be named? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah,
That's what it seems
is.
like.
It is.
Because that's hard. Like I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, which one was 45?
That's what I did too. I'm like,
I was like,
well, here's the thing. So
the T-Man.
I mean, he
you didn't
was-
want to vote for the T-Man.
So he, you know
if
what?
we give
I,
it,
He
I-
was-
well, no, hang on though. Hang
he's
on.
a
Hang on.
thug.
No,
He was-
hang on. Stop right now. Because you're going against what you said.
What do you mean?
Because you have the one thing that everyone else does is you are hating the man, not the policy.
Right, but if you
And
think
you
about
let
it,
and you let that now hang on. Look at the facts for what he did.
I understand that.
You cannot come out and attack the man
Yes, I
if
can.
if you appreciate his policies.
So no,
Because you may not like the person.
Right.
Right? But some of the things he did that were factual and real were
Yes.
good things for the country we live in.
but the problem is that we have a
That's not the-
morally
that's-
bankrupt person doing
And
that,
and the
it's-
morally bankrupt person running it is exactly 90% of the people who are lobbying to be in there. He just wears it on the outside.
yeah, but-
At least you know he's a sleazebag.
yeah,
Right?
Right.
But you know what? At the end of the day, China wasn't starting any shit with us. Right?
right,
Gas was cheap
yep.
and we were doing okay.
But I think we could have had a better representative doing the exact
Who-
same things that he did.
But nobody else wanted to do that.
No, I think there
Everyone else owed favors. In that list, you would have taken Hillary.
So no, I would have taken.
'Cause she had some bad
I would have
favors she owes.
I would have taken
Bernie?
Warren.
Warren?
Yes.
I would have taken Warren too. She didn't make it.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Because she's not used to being the centerpiece of TV.
well, and
know.
and because she needs to be someone's vice president
Okay.
she needs to learn it
because
first.
you need a front man. Okay, like I'll break it down for you. Politics is like the Rolling Stones. All right, whose band is the Rolling Stones? Does it belong to Mick Jagger, or does it belong to the guitarist?
Ron.
What's his name?
Yeah.
The guy who everyone's surprised is not dead.
But here's the thing.
Who's but who does that band belong to?
Well, of course, it belongs to Mick Jagger.
No, it
No,
does
it
not.
belongs to the guitarist. The name
Thank
is
you.
Mick Jagger.
Yes, thank you. Very much so.
Okay.
That band,
Mick
see
Jagger's
what
most
you're
of
just the
the
saying.
face.
most of the songs, most of the work is done by.
The supporting
I can't
members.
think of his. I don't know why I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's like the most prolific guitarist of all time because he's not dead.
Yeah, he
Well,
does
right.
blood transfusions.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. But like, if he were to get COVID, he would have just laughed it off. That. But he does most of the work, right? But Mick Jagger's the front man.
Right.
Because
Mick
he had the
Jagger
pretty
sings the
face.
song. When you think of the Rolling Stones, you don't think of really anybody else but Mick Jagger, right? You don't think about that. See, that's where politics works. Politics needs to be like, I've got a great front man. I've got Mick Jagger. But the smart person, is Keith Richards. That's his name.
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards, right? So your vice president always needs to be the Keith Richards of politics. They're
Well-
smart. They can play the instruments. They can write the songs. And then the front man goes out there and puts enough flair on it and makes it so that everybody loves it.
Everybody's
And
convinced.
they don't think about where it came. You don't care who wrote the song. You just know you like the song.
So here's the thing.
Elvis Presley is
I-
one of them. He didn't write a single song.
Right.
See? Now Elvis Presley, another good front man.
But here's the
He
thing.
took a bunch of ideas and presented them to the world.
So you just presented the Rolling Stones, right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that like the Rolling Stones. Me,
I
could
use them.
I mean, I could take it or leave it, but it's still the same thing. I would rather have. I'm not a big fan of the Rolling Stones. I agree that
That's fair.
they've done some great stuff. I have to admit that, right?
I was just using them as an analogy.
But if I'm going to take the same analogy.
Please.
You basically got a front man, right?
Right.
But here's the thing with Trump, he's not a front man. He's the guy that thinks he knows everything. He's got more failed businesses than he does
Yep.
successful businesses.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
the-
but now-
here's the thing.
Well-
So he does some good stuff,
Yes.
granted. But if you take the moral character of him,
Right.
I don't. So back in the
But
70s
do we
or
need
80s,
somebody morally correct?
but back in the 70s and 80s, we had Reagan, right?
Well, Reagan doesn't count.
Why?
He was an actor.
Well, Trump thinks he's an actor.
Well, yeah, but he's never been in no movie. Well, actually,
He
he
is
was,
an
he was in
actor.
Home Alone too. Yeah, he
Yeah.
is an actor. But
He was in 2 movies.
Reagan was different. Like,
Yes, Reagan
the
was
era
definitely
was different, though.
Exactly.
Reagan probably wouldn't get elected in today's market.
Probably not.
I mean-
and I don't think.
Well, he might
Bush
because he would have
Sr.
had California.
I don't think Bush Senior would have gotten elected.
I don't know.
in
I
this
think
modern
I
time.
think Bush Senior was scary enough for everybody. He would have got elected. Like that's a scary dude.
Reelected.
No, I don't think in today's era we would have voted for Ronald Reagan. I honestly think they would have gone for the other guy. Like they would have gone. That guy's too Hollywood. What does he know about anything?
Well, that was. I mean, my parents were those like this actor from California. We're gonna
Right,
make
the actor.
We're gonna make him a governor.
Yeah.
And then he went and became a president.
You
And
know
it's
what?
like, oh my gosh.
He may not have gotten an Oscar, but he was president.
It's better than an Oscar. How many of them could say that?
I mean, but here's
46.
I mean, and if you really think about like the things that Ronald Reagan did, right? Like he helped them get rid of the Berlin Wall.
Right.
That was not necessarily the greatest thing at the time.
No, it was very
Like there are a
controversial.
lot of people who would tell you that was a terrible mistake,
Right.
right? So
And you know who those people are?
who?
The Eastern Germans.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's some other European factions that weren't bad,
Right.
That were like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Now, granted, it had to happen,
Yes.
but I think it had to have happened without our influence.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's one of the times we may have stepped over our boundary.
Well, we were kind of invited into that arena
We-
after
we
World War
were.
II.
We
I mean,
were.
we were the ones that kind of basically promoted that there be a wall.
Yeah.
So
But I think it's one of those weird things. It's like that was one of the ones where we should have just kind of let the Europeans handle that one.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. It was a global shake. It was a global situation that, like right now, it's kind of similar to the green movement and going towards solar and going towards all those different green powers,
Right.
without having, a transition for those who are not or fossil fuel by.
I mean,
Well, the one
See,
that
the
was
reason
doing.
why I'm driving a Mini now,
I was
right?
about to say the
Yeah.
one that was doing the transition was probably Toyota's Prius, right? Because they were both fossil fuel and electric, up to 25 to 35 miles.
I mean, the Prius is technically the first
Semi-green.
successful hybrid transition
Right.
vehicle, right? Because the electric Honda from the '90s didn't work because fossil fuel was too powerful,
So
and
speaking,
they got rid of it.
of electrifying cars, right?
Yes.
Toyota just came out with a solid state battery.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that was
did.
the
Okay.
that was the new, and actually,
It's a new truck.
I read an article today that they might have also figured out a big jump in fusion, cold fusion.
See, and that's
Wow.
I went to school with a kid that was going through, and his idea was fusion technology and progressing
cold
that.
fusion, yes.
If you progress that, you can build enough power to generate plenty of things.
Well, so that's the big deal is cold fusion.
Yeah.
Right, because
Yeah.
it's cold.
But you know who's got a bad rap?
Who?
Nuclear.
Well, yes, and no.
I mean, yes, there were some mistakes that were made, of course.
Yes,
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, Three Mile Island.
The one in Japan,
Japan had that
Japan.
issue.
Well,
yeah.
now wait a minute. The Japan one was because of the
Earthquake.
tidal wave,
tsunami.
Tsunami,
But,
yeah.
tsunami.
no, I for one, I think nuclear works.
Yes, I do too.
We
We just hadn't perfected it yet.
yeah, we were a little ahead, a little ostentatious
Well,
with
the-
our nuclear
ambitious.
reactor.
Our biggest problems is when you say nuclear, everybody thinks fear, explosion.
everyone does. They tend to
Well, we just did
instantaneously.
it. We just did
Yeah.
it. When I said nuclear, and we said accidents, we just named off
You,
three
you go
different
you
places.
go off of all the ones, right? You go
Yeah.
Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island. And, granted,
Those are incidents.
incidences that happened in the past.
Right.
Do I think nuclear is a good idea? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the solution? No,
Okay.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Because you
But it's the
have
next-
to remember,
So it's the progression is what it really is.
it's sort of a. I wouldn't say it's like a full step up.
Well, it's kind of
It's like a
the telephone.
step to the side, slightly higher than what we have, right?
Well, it's kind of like the telephone.
Okay.
You had the a telephone though didn't have. Well, it did have.
Well,
I was going to say telephone didn't have any hiccups, but it did because
Yeah,
you
I
had
mean,
wiretapping.
Well, even then, when the first one was made, it was just two
Well,
phones essentially.
Well,
Right.
well, it was,
But
and
it
then-
grew. You
well,
see,
it grew.
see how we've progressed though, and now we
Yeah,
have
because
more
I mean,
power. And
we had call centers with the. You had to go to a call box and then tell the operator where you wanted to call, and then she'd have to put one line connected to the other line to get you connected.
and then
we
the
went-
next step
Then we
after
moved
that,
to rotary.
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
next step after that was not just the rotary, but it was shared lines.
shared lines.
what is
and then
it?
it was cordless,
And
and then now we have.
or
the
no,
cell
then
phone.
you had a big
Now it's
cord.
wired.
Yeah, you had
had
the
a
one
big
long cord.
long
One
cord.
long cord.
Yeah.
Always got twisted up in the living room.
And
or
then you
wherever.
had multiple outlets.
Multiple
that you could
phones
put
on the same.
Yeah.
And then you had finally where you could actually have multiple phone calls in one house
Right.
and not mess up the phone line on the other end. Like, whoa.
Or your
yeah.
neighbor's phone line.
Or your neighbor's phone line,
Yeah.
yes. And then dial up came and was like, get off the phone.
But
I'm trying
that's
to
the
get
thing.
on the internet.
We were driven because we wanted those things. They interested us.
well, no,
With-
no
with-
hang on. When did the phones stop getting progressive?
You mean the landline stuff?
Sure.
Actually,
Sure.
I
The-
still.
the-
So
well,
I'm so old.
yeah,
I still have
but-
a landline.
I was going to talk about
Phone-
wireless at this point. Cell phones.
Well,
Yeah.
but
But it's
cell
still
phones are
progressing.
different.
They're
Cell
little-
phone cell phones are a completely different piece of technology.
Fair enough.
The phone. I'm talking about the phone. Think about this. When has the phone changed recently?
It hasn't.
It hasn't, right?
It's 'cause it stopped in the
phone
early
progressively
2000s.
went from what we know as like the 60s,
Yeah.
right? When it was the call box system, right? Then you had the
Oh,
70s,
you're talking about
where
the
all of a sudden
40s
now
and 50s.
everyone had their own. And then you get all the way up to the 90s, where we had the cordless phone
Right.
and multiple phone lines in one house.
It's 2000.
And it stopped, right?
Yeah.
We've left the phone behind. we
Well-
have maximized the home phone to its potential.
So we needed to move on and find something else, which then became wireless.
I think-
we went
Well,
from
like-
pager.
Like the cell phone?
Well, yeah, because it started
Again,
off with the pager.
The cell phone's a totally different.
I understand, but we started with we started moving towards the cell phone in the
with the
90s.
pager.
Well, it migrated out of the actual landline hard
Yeah.
connect is where, and once we figured out that we could make a telephone that was no longer hardline, was no longer, attached to, a specific house, so to speak. I mean, or a specific.
area,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why should you only be able to reach me when I'm at home? Why not reach me somewhere else?
which is where we stopped and got away from landlines,
Right.
home
Right,
phones.
But again, I mean, we got to that point, and it kind of stopped,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it stopped.
Now we went
af-
from
so
the
it stopped-
pager,
Wait a minute. So it stopped after internet started using those lines.
right?
That's where it started, and then it made the migration into.
Oh no,
from
the
cordless, it
internet
went into the
internet
migration.
thoroughly killed the phone for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
but now that the phone is still used, like people still have landlines.
Yep,
My grandma still has one.
I have one.
You have one? Yeah, we have one for the shop. We do, right? Businesses still have them. It's still an essential part of what has to happen in today's world,
correct.
right? Now, I'll give you that Charter now makes it so that your phone goes through your cable line, so it doesn't necessarily require a phone jack anymore.
No.
Because modern day houses aren't even built with phone lines in them.
No, mine still has
Really?
it from 72.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you step into a house that's built after about 2010, 2015, they don't put the phone line
It's
in
an
anymore.
Ethernet
It's
cable
Ethernet
now.
cable.
Oh,
yeah, Ethernet has replaced the
okay.
phone line
Yeah.
as
Because
as,
of
a, as a
computers.
default. Yeah, because if you're going to get a phone line, it's probably going to be Ethernet to a little converter box that has a phone jack in it.
Yes.
So that's that's the last upgrade. I'll give you that. But that it stopped really, like that strong progression doesn't happen anymore.
Well, it's
Exactly.
Well, hold on a second.
The cell phone it hasn't strongly
Cell
progressed
phone
in a
hasn't
long
really
time.
changed, right? Like
wait a minute.
every year the camera gets better and you may get a better signal in one part of the town, but my cell phone still loses signal driving over a mountain.
And I
Sure.
don't have signal. I don't have signal in my own town. Rarely.
I mean, what? First of all, for how long we've had the cell phone tower, you're going to tell me we can't have full coverage still?
I agree.
That seems a little odd. Like, cell phones have been around.
Well, it's
let's
profitability.
comfortably call it since 2000.
Yeah, but
But we're only progressing in the media aspect of it now.
Yeah, exactly.
but here's
Phones
the
have
thing.
gotten
You're
larger.
talking about coverage, right?
Yeah, coverage.
Okay, so the thing is that it doesn't make so if they've covered probably 85% of.
Oh, I think you're reaching.
Am I?
I'll give you 70%.
Okay, I'll take 70%.
I'll give you 70.
So they cover 70%, and they derive probably 90 to 100% of what their budget is, or what their gross income is, right?
Okay.
So if they got that gross income and it is enough, how much more do they have to upgrade? Does it really increase their gross revenue? And the answer is no, it doesn't. So that's why you have pockets where you don't have any cell service, is because they're satisfied with how much they've built.
Well, yeah, because they don't care.
Well, yeah, it's a gross revenue.
Oh,
it's
that
a
thir- that
capitalistic
30%.
situation. Yeah,
But again,
that 30% is not going to get them 30% more gross
in
income.
in 20 years, granted, the cell phone signal has gotten better, right? Because we've gone from whatever it was before 3G to the 3G, right?
And now,
and then it was
yeah,
4G.
but we don't even
And now
have-
it's 5G.
But we don't have 5G here.
Not went from 4G to 4G
in South
LTE and then
Tahoe.
5G.
think
I
we
get
have-
5G.
No, I think there's one.
I think
5G.
it's fake. But I think my phone just thinks it's 5G.
Right.
But
There's
again,
only one cell tower that's 5G in South Lake Tahoe.
and it should cover the whole town.
It should, but
Everyone should.
But it can't.
But why not?
because of the mountain.
It makes no sense.
They should be putting it up on the mountain, but they can't because it's U.S. Forest Service.
Well, even if we were to put it on the mountain, sometimes that
I
doesn't work.
guarantee you right
Exactly.
now, they could put one on top of that mountain.
Oh, there is one. They have it on above the coaster on Heavenly.
All right, but I still don't get 5G,
I know,
and I still don't get signal when I drive over the mountain.
but it's not a 5G spot.
It doesn't matter. I should have my phone dies at the top of Spinner Summit
Right.
for the same like mile stretch in either direction. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense.
He got stuck one time, needed service.
I did. I got stuck, and thankfully your phone can dial emergency,
SOS
right?
services.
So, well, no. So it had no signal, right? Which means it's no signal on your carrier.
Correct.
Right.
But it means that somebody else had signal, or there was enough signal somewhere for them to give me a phone call to the police station.
Yeah. It,
Right?
it piggybacks another cell
Yeah.
service.
So here's my problem. You're going to tell me that one cell service is more advanced, that they can just get full coverage? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I think what it is that
And most of these phones are all piggybacking off each other anyway.
yeah.
So how do I not have 100% coverage on my cell phone
because they
that we've had for 20 years?
because they limit the piggyback
Why?
because it doesn't make it's not cost effective.
Well, you know what's not cost effective is charging me $129 for talk, text, and unlimited data when the guys next door charge you $15 at Mint and the guys over at Charter charge you $30.
Dude.
Here, you know what? Just pay the $30 and fix the fucking phone service.
Yeah, but you pay for your mom's as well, right?
But it's still $30.
yeah,
She pays her $30. I pay my $30.
No, you shouldn't be doing that. So Charter right now or Spectrum
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
$29.99,
I know.
2 lines.
No, it's only if you don't have it already.
Yeah, you have to not. have
Or I just called him yesterday. I can tell you the story. So if you want to, right? Because I was curious about that. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I want this free line that you guys offer, but I have lines. And the lady on the phone, her name was Lorraine. She was very, very friendly. She goes, well, we can do that. And I go, oh, this is perfect. And she's like, you know what? We'll upgrade your phone. So I was going to get a brand new phone, right? And basically the cost of the phone was less than what I was paying for the second line. So I was going to be paying the same, but I was going to get a brand new phone. And then she goes, okay, so what do you want your phone number to be? And I was like,
What do you mean?
what do you mean? I want it to be the same phone number that I have. And she goes, oh, no, you have to open a new line
Right.
to get the line for free. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to just, I have no need for a free phone line for 12 months before you go back to charge. It's only for 12 months.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. It's to get you to sign up to Charter.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You know what else they canceled? You used to be able to go in and like just recently I got a new phone.
Okay.
And I said, can I get the second line? And they go, do you want a second phone? And it's like, no. And I go, can I do a tablet? Can I put it, put the second line?
You can, but it does not qualify for the discount.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's also in the fine print.
Yeah.
She
told me.
legitimately like it's a great idea to get people in, right? Because it's like, okay, you know what? You're gonna pay $30. You got 2 lines for a whole year, and you think to yourself, that is astronomically fantastic.
Till that year hits.
And then the year hits, and it's like, okay, then you're just both paying $30 again. Okay, cool. I get it. But again, if you want 2 phone lines for $30, then you just go to Mint Mobile and you pay $15. But who knows how good the coverage on Mint Mobile is?
I've thought about getting
But again, if the coverage was fantastic, as it should be, the cell phone tower is what should be upgraded, right?
Right.
It shouldn't necessarily have to be the antenna in my phone, right? Because I'm paying $1,000 for a piece of technology.
Right.
Right? Let's just ballpark the phone is $1,000.
Right.
All right. Now, for the record, if you don't know this, that phone that you paid $1,000 for is worth $100.
Right.
That's what it is. It's a $100 piece of technology. So when you wonder why it breaks down easily and all this crap, it's because it costs $100 to make, and they make them in factories. It costs $100.
Right.
Right?
Because they got the manufacturer,
realistically, it should cost you $200 at a store. You should be able to buy these things like candy.
name brands.
Name brands. Apple, Samsung, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It should cost you a whole $200. What they get you with,
Or even $500.
no. What they get you with is the $100 phone has $900 worth of software because that's how it works, right? So you get the manufacturing of the phone costs you $20, and then you pay to ship it back here. So that's where it becomes $100. Costs your company $100 per phone. However, the labor over in whatever Southeast Asian country we used it from, Taiwan or Vietnam or wherever, that was cheap, right?
Right.
The materials were there; they're cheap. What they don't have is people who have computer engineering degrees that make all of the fancy programs and silly games that you play on your phone. What costs your phone $1,000 is the programming that went into it. Yeah,
And
it's all software.
And all that software and writing of that software and
Yep.
creation of it
Yep, that's-
is in Northern California.
And Northern California, Oregon, and Washington.
Right.
That's where it comes from. So your phone goes from $100 to $1,000
1,000.
instantaneously, all because of the programmer. You're going to tell me we don't have enough people programming to make the cell phone tower, which is not a $100 project, right? It costs a lot of money
Right.
to put a cell phone tower anywhere.
Right.
That thing can't be upgraded to produce a better signal where it is.
Well, I think that's what it's the migration of 3G, 4G, and 5G.
They're honestly, man, they're just different megahertz off the same tower. It's like having a radio tower and being like, oh, let's broadcast a different tower.
Or a different channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
So that's the hard part that I find.
So here's the thing: is Mint Mobile? I think they piggyback T-Mobile.
They do. They're T-Mobile, so they're T-Mobile, which is decent enough, I suppose. And then you've got trying to think here. AT&T is Boost.
No, Boost is Spectrum.
Is that Spectrum now? Okay, and those are all Verizon.
maybe it
those
got
are all
bought off.
Verizon. They
Maybe-
basically all piggyback off Verizon towers at this point.
Right.
So, but even with the piggybacking, right? Even with all the other tech, I should still have coverage going over a mountain.
Theoretically, yes, you're absolutely
That's
correct.
all I'm saying. That's all I want.
That's all you're asking.
All I'm asking, like, I'll pay the $1,000 for the phone. I'll pay the $40 a month. Whatever. I just want to not lose a phone call driving from point A to point B.
Right.
And I don't think that's a hard ask. Right? Like, I don't think it's too difficult to ask for that. Like, I think,
Well, it's a topography
seems simple.
situation.
but if it's a digital thing, right? Like, if it's like a coding error or something easy to fix inside of the cell phone tower, I think it would happen. What I think it is I think it's just companies not wanting to put the money in.
Well, it's not cost effective.
Because that's not just that, right? But it's like, you're gonna pay for it anyway. Why do it, right? Well, why? Who cares? Who cares?
That's what I was getting at earlier.
But it's so
basically.
it's so stupid.
I didn't
It's
say
so
it.
shifty.
I didn't say it was a good thing.
But again, you don't have the same hatred for them as you do when we talk about the T-Man. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You have a personal bias against the man you've never met in person.
I don't have to.
But again, see, even that thought right there was distasteful for you because you hate the man, not the policy.
No, I mean, I hate what he's done.
What
in a
has he done
personal-
to
But
you?
what has he
What
done?
has he done to you?
To me?
Yes.
Uh,
Or as the good folks of the faith would say, what has he done for you lately?
nothing.
Exactly. He's not even in your life anymore.
Well, that's not true. I mean,
He's in the news because he's going to jail for something.
Right.
Who cares?
I mean,
It's done.
I would like.
You have to let the hate go, man. Smoke a doobie. Relax. Let the hate go from your soul because you're going to have coronary over the anger you have for a man when all we needed was his policies. The only thing that defines a president in this country are the policies
Right, and I think
And that
But wait a minute.
on their own.
I think that's where we've lost it.
Well, on policy?
No, we no longer have a moral character situation for our politicians.
We haven't had
Because-
that for a while, though.
Well, no,
Right. I'm not saying that it's
yeah,
recent.
the
It's been
world doesn't
going
have a
on for-
morality anymore.
Okay.
In the 80s, okay, in the 80s, right? If Putin had sent soldiers into Ukraine, Ronald Reagan would have picked up the phone and said, "What do you think you're doing?"
Right.
And he would have been like, "Well, I'm taking Ukraine back." And Ronald Reagan would have been like, "The fuck you are."
Right.
He would have been like, "Not today. Guess what? I'll meet you at the Crimea River." And we would have sent troops.
So here's
Because that Ronald Reagan had a morality.
Right.
Ronald Reagan would have been like, "Nah, you ain't gonna step on these people. We're gonna step in for you."
Yeah.
That's what we do. Nowadays, we're like, we don't really want to get involved.
well, and the thing is,
No one has stood up for Ukraine and really just been like, "Fuck Russia, let's do this," because they're
So-
afraid of Russia.
So here's the thing. I don't think Biden's any better than Trump.
No, he's We haven't had a good president in a while, man.
Yeah.
And we haven't had good candidates in a while. That's the problem.
That's
we
the
have
problem
picked
right
the
there.
lowest good choice.
Yeah. The bottom
Like-
feeders. We picked the bottom feeders of
We just go,
of
okay.
politics.
Like
is the best
Bush,
we got.
I think Bush Jr. We kept him for 2 terms, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was because realistically we were in the middle of that war
That war.
or that getting freedom,
Afghanistan,
freedom
yeah.
for Afghanistan.
Or
and so we were
Iraq,
like,
yeah.
let's give him a chance.
Right.
And nobody liked Mitt Romney because he threatened to cancel PBS.
Oh,
And
did
you
he?
just don't do that, okay?
No, you can't.
You can't just take PBS from the people.
But I would go
Yeah.
even farther back as far as a morally corrupt president was Clinton.
What?
Yeah.
Clinton was able to work both sides.
Clinton morally corrupt?
Yes.
Were you even alive during the Clinton administration?
Yes.
Do you know how nicely that guy? Now, faithful to his wife? No.
I mean,
That probably. I don't think that's really a morality thing we need to be worried about. That's a family thing. That man did more for this country. You know,
I didn't
we,
say-
we were happy.
But it's
he
the
was
same-
working on both sides.
But it's the same thing.
Last time we had true bipartisanship.
But
And
here's,
our
your
budget
rationalization
was
for
pretty square.
we balanced the budget.
we balanced the budget. But that's up because we lowered the interest rate so low.
Well,
That's-
yeah, because Ronald
Okay,
Reagan
and
cranked him up to the roof
Yeah, I
because
know.
we needed to pay for shit.
But here's I mean,
Republicans get a bad turn because they want to raise taxes. It's like, we're trying to pay for shit. And then Democrats get in and go, well, we paid for all that shit. We're going to lower taxes.
Well, wait a minute.
And then a couple years later, we raise taxes again because we were like, we still have to pay for that shit.
The Republicans aren't big on raising taxes. They're the fiscal hawk when it
I
comes
mean,
to
it's the other way. I'm sorry, it's the
Yeah,
other way around.
okay.
It's like we'll raise taxes because we have to pay for shit, and then afterwards they're like, Republicans are like, did you pay for that shit already? Did you take enough of my money?
yeah.
Because this shit's getting old. I don't know. You know, I think taxes should be high anyway.
Well, I mean, remember the IRS was created just to
Well,
Enforce it.
Let me
not enforce it. That's not why they were created. They were created in order to help get us back on track and regain the money that we lost during the war. As soon as the war ended and everything after financing it and everything got caught up, IRS wasn't supposed to be around anymore.
True.
Yeah, wait a minute. When did taxes start?
Oh God.
I mean, other than
World
like
War II
taxation
is when that
from-
started.
Well, I mean, I guess taxation from the king.
Well, yeah,
So there's that taxes. But like, when did our taxes start?
the World War II to fund the war.
There wasn't taxes before then.
no, I think there were taxes before
I
that.
don't think
I
they
feel
were
like
as
we
big.
adopted the tax rule
The IRS was created around that time, though.
Oh,
during World
yeah.
War One.
I don't-
Two.
World War Two. So
Or
World
just
War
after
Two
World War
is
II.
when the IRS shows
Yeah,
up.
because World War One kind
So-
of bankrupted us.
Yeah, we had the Great Depression.
1929 is
Yeah.
when the crash happened.
Yeah.
World War II got us somewhat back on our feet, and
Well, yeah,
then
because we sold war stocks.
exactly, and then they created the IRS to try and replenish the money.
Okay, so I guess the modern tax day would have started when the IRS was formed.
Correct.
All right, I get that. But it was only supposed to be temporary.
It was only supposed to be temporary,
I
but they
thought it
stuck
was
around.
a government issued thing. Like I thought they were permanent. Like it was decided.
I don't think
No.
it was supposed to be then. It was supposed to be
mean-
up until everything got financed, back on track.
Oh, okay. It was basically like your job is to balance the books, and then once we're balanced, you guys don't have jobs.
Right.
Correct.
That's why the IRS still exists. We gave them a job where they could create job security.
correct.
Their whole job is to not get any single back to being normal. Because if they did, then we wouldn't need them.
Exactly.
And by now, we're trillions in debt, and there's so much money going different places. We would lose our minds without the IRS.
Well, the other part too is that we came off the gold standard. So
Oh, that's I forget. I forget about that.
Yeah, because we're off of a social standard now more.
No, I mean I think it's just a different
well, we're the global
economical model.
We're
Well,
the
it's an
global
economical,
currency, too.
social standard.
Yeah, we yeah, it's the global market, right?
Yeah.
You stop being able to get gold coins and doubloons and had to actually have cash. I guess that's why they don't take Krugerrands at the bank anymore.
They don't even take rupees.
What? You can't get rupees? Oh man,
I don't
what am
know.
I gonna do with my stack of rupees now?
I don't
Isn't that
know.
the Indian currency?
Yes, it is.
I
Yeah.
thought that was the Russian.
No,
Rubles.
Russians is
Rubles.
rubles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not rupees. Rupees is India.
Yeah.
The hell is a ruble?
It's a dollar.
Well, yeah, I get
But
that,
is
but
it-
what was it based off of?
I don't know. Why do they call them rupees in India?
Because it was
Because
based off of
that's
rubies.
an actual stone.
Well, why do we call ours cash?
Because we're
But,
psychopaths.
but we're not based on a like diamonds. We could
No,
have.
but
Well-
I get that. But still, I mean,
Diamonds are only sought after because we put value on them. Really, they
what,
cost nothing.
You have
Right.
the yen, the yuan.
Right. It's a currency.
Yeah, it's just currency names.
But it's
I
not
guess.
back. So prior to us going off the gold standard,
Yeah.
metals were, and
Yeah, silver-
gems
silver
were our currency.
Yeah, silver and gold.
Yeah, silver, gold, rupees, rubles.
I get that. We were trading for,
But we
spices.
got
emeralds, diamonds.
we got to a point that wasn't going to sustain us. That didn't have enough value.
Right.
So
Well, we
made
didn't
cur-
want it. So what really happened is we didn't want to deplete what we had, and so we went to currency not backed by gold or a metal, and because we still have.
Yeah, it
the-
was based off of economical, social standing.
Yeah. So we still have the largest gold reserve in the world.
To our
Oh,
knowledge.
You know why?
our knowledge.
It's because of the bank.
Right.
Money became the banknote.
Yes.
Yeah. So instead of having gold, you just put your gold in the bank, and now I have paper telling me how much I have in the bank.
Right. Still.
Banknotes.
Paper
Still.
that we put
it's
value
digital
to.
now.
No, it's it is digital, but it's denim.
Damn.
Oh yeah, it's
Recycled
a
denim.
cotton.
Yeah.
Money was
But
printed on
that-
cotton paper,
That's
so it's
right.
harder to rip.
It's denim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lane told me that a couple days ago.
Is that okay?
I was like, oh, really? He's like,
Because
"Yeah,
if it was
it's
paper,
it's
it'd
denim."
rip easily.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it would be easy to copy.
Yeah.
Harder to copy.
And then with the denim, you can soak in proper mixture of the inks used
Metallic
to make the
magnetic ink.
yeah.
That's how the bank teller knows what money you're giving it.
Oh, really?
It's the weight.
Yes.
So the weight is different on every piece of dinero,
Right.
or at least denomination.
Yeah.
And that's how the sorting machine knows too,
Right.
because it just knows the different weight. That's crazy though. It's like it's got to be within like 0.00 ounces.
Oh, no,
difference.
Micrograms?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike. It's
Like if you leave a
small.
booger on $1, does it think it's 100? You know.
Well, we got to test that fact.
Sneeze on it.
Well, I'm sure there's a for like a visual check too.
Probably.
You know,
Oh,
just to
absolutely.
double like, oh, this is a 1, should be a 1.
Well, that's why they put magnetic strips in them.
So that's a security feature.
Yeah, and that's
but
for
Well,
the
it's-
hundreds.
I'm sure it could still be read.
Yeah, well, in the magnetic strip is at a different place for each denomination,
Right.
which is cool if you ever have one of those black lights. You can take a look at them. Because you'll see the strip in each section. It's also how they get counterfeiters for note washing. Because you can wash a note, but you can't remove the magnetic strip from its location. So if you're washing 10s, they make them 100s or 20s or something, and you know where the note's supposed to be, you go, yeah, that says $10 on it. That's fake. I could work for the IRS or the Secret Service. That'd be fun.
So
in the money laundering area.
Yeah, the money laundering job, that's got to be the funnest job at the secret. Like, sure, all right. Protecting the president, probably cool job too because you get to travel and, you know.
Well, it
all that
depends on which
fun
detail
stuff.
you're on.
Yeah, because if you're in the White House detail, you just stand around the White House all day. That's probably boring. But if you're going around hunting counterfeit money,
that's a Secret Service job.
that's the
Yep.
Secret Service job. The Secret Service was originally for money.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't for protection of
Was
the-
that came afterwards. It was their first job is towards money in the United States.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
That's cool.
it's like sometimes you'll see like Secret Service agents will walk into banks, you know, for like money checks. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, the Secret Service is the president in town? No, the president's not in town. This is our job. Like the president thing is
Secondary.
second. You know, we take turns. Well, but it's just odd too, right?
What do you mean?
It's just weird.
Oh, that the Secret
At some
Service.
point, someone was like, "Hey, you know those guys that protect money?
Yeah,
You know what else they could do?
they can protect.
They could protect the president.
and
Make that happen.
their family.
Well, and their family, yeah, and presidents after, and
Yeah, for life.
Don't they
it is you. I think you keep your detail
Yes,
for basically afterwards because you can't do.
you can't switch details.
Well, you can refuse the Secret Service
After
afterwards.
presidency, yeah.
But technically, they still keep tabs on you.
Sure.
Like it's like you might as well just say yes to having them with your.
Because then you know they're around at least.
Well, not just that, but yeah, exactly, because they're around and they're not just watching you randomly. They're just like they're in your house.
Yeah,
like
they're-
I think Bush
They're watching you from they're not watching you
Junior
from afar.
has that farm in Texas.
Yes.
He's got like 100 acres or something like that, and in the 100 acres, like the Secret Service that protects him have like their own little like neighborhood basically,
Is that right?
like a housing depot with their own kitchen and stuff like that, and it's right next to the regular house, and it's the only place he can drive because you can't drive after you're president.
or ride a horse.
I mean,
He can ride a horse.
you can't drive after you're president.
No, well, actually, during and after, you can no longer drive a vehicle.
Really?
So what if I reject the Secret Service? Can I drive then?
Technically, yes, you could. If you reject protection, essentially, what you're supposed to do though is reject protection and start your own. So you say like, oh, I don't want the Secret Service to follow me around. I have my own security.
Right.
Because you're still privy to documents after like you still get secrets. You still get intelligence briefs. You can still get access to certain things.
Yeah, because can't they bring back the president if needed?
no,
If something
no, because
major
it's the
happens?
25th Amendment is the one. So if something happens to the president, the vice president takes over.
Yeah, but if say
then-
something happens to all of them, which is highly unlikely.
Then the designated survivor takes over. It's a real
It's a real
It's a
thing?
real thing.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, of course it is. Yes, we have backups for our backups.
Yeah.
The designated survivor is a real deal. Like,
That's right. It'd be the ranch hand.
no, it's like the lowest agriculture. It's like the lowest division of house something. Like, it's one of those guys. Like one of the chairs of some weird department
so it
that you
goes-
get appointed to as president.
It goes
Right.
president,
Yes.
vice president.
Yes.
It goes
Speaker of the House,
Speaker of the House.
I think.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Speaker of the House, and
Yep.
then Secretary of State.
Yes, and then if the Secretary of State is no longer available, it's the Secretary of Defense. Or no, is it Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State?
First is Secretary of State.
All right, then it's the Secretary of Defense afterwards.
After that,
Yeah. And then it basically is a chain of secretary guys
right.
that work their way down.
Right.
And I think the last one is Secretary of Agriculture.
Okay.
And that's what the joke for The Last Survivor is that Kiefer Sutherland's character is the director of agriculture.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's the designated survivor for the one day, and then everyone gets blown up. But theoretically, I guess you could, like, if you're that guy, like if you're the designated survivor, the first phone call you're making is to the guy who's president before you, like, hey, man,
This happened.
yeah.
Need your help.
so gonna need you to come back to the White House.
Right.
And
There's a point there where
supervise, maybe, or teach.
there's a point there where it goes back to the previous administration.
I imagine you could, but it would be
Oh yeah.
a lot of steps down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's that's why picking those jobs is so important. Mm-hmm. When you think about it, you're like, okay, if I died,
Who's
is
gonna
that
pick-
that person worth taking over?
Yeah.
Can he handle
Can
a
you-
whole
That's
country?
that's why I'll say it now. Biden was smart picking his VP.
Yeah.
'Cause everybody went, I don't know if he gonna make it, and now we pray for his health every holiday.
Yep.
And we just go, come on, Uncle Joe, we just gotta get you to election day.
Almost there.
and that's
We just
another
gotta
thing.
get
It's
you to
like,
election day.
wait a minute. This guy is old. What is he doing running the country? He should be retired. He should
Well,
be,
he should, but in all fairness, I mean, he's been there for a long time. He has a lot of favors to give up.
What's our cap on presidency? I know the minimum age is 35. What's the
There is
cap?
no cap.
I feel like there should be a
I
cap.
mean, if
Agreed.
you're
There's a lot of
96, probably not.
How old's Joe?
80 something.
80 something? Yeah.
He'll be 82 in 2024.
I'd cap it off at
So he's
8
70.
I'd cap it off at 80, and they have to pass like all the main things. Are you going senile?
all the tests.
All the
There's
tests.
a whole bunch of tests going on. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair. I think that would be a fair.
I would cap it lower. I would
Eight
say
70?
75.
75.
75. You know what?
Yeah,
That's a good
75 is
number.
one.
I like 75.
They're still in that wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wiggle room. That's fine. I think we still need the term limits.
Well,
Absolutely.
term limits for sure.
Absolutely.
Because that's really, I think that's the problem. Is there's just guys who've been there for too long, and the world's kind of moving faster, right? Isn't that kind of how it feels?
They're moving faster,
our
moving forward.
Politicians are slower behind. It's like some of
that's-
those guys probably never fixed the clock on their VCRs when they
But
got
that's
I feel like some of
that's
them
a
are.
government thing. I mean, that's the government
that's
moves
that's
slowly.
well, not just that, but that's also you need someone to push that. You need someone to stand up in a room full of people who have been doing that job forever and go, oh, by the way, we should pass this law that basically says y'all can only be here for like 3 of these terms, and then you're done. And you have people who've been there for more than 3 and going, oh, if we pass this bill, we're out of jobs. That's the hardest part right now.
Yep.
Is you need someone to stand up and get that through. Like, realistically, you almost need the people to vote for it. Like, you need someone to put it out on a ballot
Yeah.
to get it out there and then have the people vote for it. The problem is, as soon as it hits the House or the Senate, it's going to
They
Die.
deny it.
It's gonna
Yeah,
die.
it's
And
going
that's
to die.
exactly
and,
what has
and
happened.
then that's,
That is actually what has happened.
like I don't remember the last time I heard term limits actually discussed in a political setting. Because I think everyone just knows it's never going to get anywhere.
That's going to be the end of their job.
Yeah, that's. I guess I wonder if you could like. I don't know, because the Supreme Court is separate from that.
Yes.
Judiciary is the.
That's for life. But some of them should retire, and yet some of the ones.
No,
that-
no, I mean like.
but some of the
to
ones
pass
that
the-
haven't
pass the rule.
retired were actually very good.
No, I mean, not for. I don't care about the Supreme Court. They can be in there for life. I think that makes sense. But I think you can't use the Supreme Court to help pass the law that the senators and the House representatives could be term limited because you have to keep judiciary and executive separate.
Yes.
That's how our system works.
I mean, so what is it? If the House passes a bill,
Yes.
and the bill goes to the
The
Senate,
Senate. Yep.
and then it can be bounced back to
So if it
The
doesn't, if it
House.
doesn't pass the Senate, it goes back to the House to be restructured or changed
Yeah,
or altered.
restructured.
Yeah,
That's-
and then it goes back to the Senate.
Yep.
And then assuming it passes the Senate, it goes to the president, who also has a chance to veto.
Right. But there's a part there where Congress kind of, that's where the wheels turn slowly, is in Congress and the Senate.
Yeah,
There's a
definitely.
certain percentage of each house that has to pass. In other words, if the bill in the Congress, there's a certain amount of people in there that have to move it forward. If it moves forward, it'll go to the Senate. And then there's a certain percentage of what's in the Senate to pass the bill, and that may or may not happen, goes back and restructures. And that bill may die right there because it doesn't have enough percentage support. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I remember there is, what is it, 12 Angry Men? No, that's a jury thing. There was a film about that happening in the early days. I mean, like in the just after the creation of the government.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
And it doesn't even get to the president.
It doesn't. No. It spends the whole time just sitting in that limbo, which is where a lot of things go.
Isn't that where the 2/3 majority vote come in?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly where it comes. It's one of those lifelong mysteries that honestly we're not going to solve in a day. But it's fun to talk about. It's fun to be here. You know what? We've been doing this for a while.
Okay. Yes, we have.
And I appreciate you guys for coming on, hanging out,
Well, it's been a pleasure.
doing what you're doing. It's fun to
Anytime.
hear from you guys. You know, I like when we just get to sit around and bullshit. It's fun.
That
That's
doesn't happen
why we
often.
do what we do
Yep.
on the podcast. That's what it's for. But I think we're going to call it
I'm with you.
because my cigar's almost out. So
I'm pretty far down on
yeah,
my
so you're
second
there,
cigar.
you're down there. So there's, let's see, we got Kevin,
Kevin?
we got Will in the corner, and I'm Casey, and
We are
that's
the
a
Daily
wrap.
Torch.
We're the Daily Torch.
Like,
There's no way you sat through the entirety of what we got here. If you did, though, you need to be subscribed, or you probably already are subscribed because there's 20 of you. But we're still trying to get to that 100. So hit the button, give us some support, and
share it with others.
share with your friends. That's exactly it. That's a good note to end on.